It is the top of the 1 o'clock hour. It is Wednesday, July 8th, a.k.a. my 19th birthday. And you are listening to SMC Sports right here on 90.3 FM WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Before I get started, I just want to thank everybody and everybody later on for all the birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. We got a big show coming up. Sean Martin is running a little late. He is expected to be here. He is the WMSC Sports Media Coordinator and founder of NJSportsReport.com. James Creange from TCU is expected to be here as well in the next 20 or so minutes. He just got out of work. So I will be opening the show solo, and hopefully Sean will be here because we have our traditional SNS debate. We both agreed the other night that we have been agreeing with each other a little too much, so we need to argue about something. So that will happen as soon as Sean walks in. James will be here later. Craig will be, I think he's listening, so he will judge later on. Unfortunately, Craig is not able to be on the show with us as we had originally planned, but the show must go on. So we got a lot to talk about today. U.S. women's team won the World Cup on Sunday. Proud to be an American. Great ending to a 4th of July weekend. I thought it was phenomenal. Then you take a look. NBA free agency is kicked off. Contracts are able to be signed tomorrow night. A lot of deals are already on the table. Jason, and speaking of deals on the table, let's talk about one that just came off, and that's Jason Pierre Paul. His $60 million contract pulled off the table after the idiot decided to light off fireworks in his Miami home. A U-Haul full of fireworks he decided to light off. So, and then a lot of NFL suspensions, which we'll get to later. Also, a quick New Jersey Jackals update because we will have the media director and play-by-play announcer of the Jackals, Michael Cohen, on with us once again to give us kind of a mid-season update on the New Jersey Jackals. Jackals up on the Rockland Boulders 5-1 going into the top of the 7th. So we are getting closer to our interview with Michael Cohen. He will be on as soon as this game concludes. And so we got a lot to talk about there. But we have a lot to talk about discussing the MLB All-Star Game. The rosters came out the other night. From what I saw, I thought the fans and the coaches, I thought they did a great job in putting the teams together this year. Especially, I'm actually very happy to see the National League pitching staff. I actually have it here because I'll foreshadow a little bit. This is the argument that myself and Sean are going to have later. Who's going to win the All-Star Game? The pitching staff on the National League and the American League too, but the National League specifically, the starting pitching rotation is just unbelievable. You know, Bruce Bochy has a lot to choose from on who could start this game. Madison Bumgarner, his own. A.J. Burnett from Pittsburgh, his first All-Star appearance and most likely his last. Jacob DeGrom, Zach Greinke out of the Dodgers. Shelby Miller out of Atlanta. Max Scherzer out of Washington. And Michael Wacha out of St. Louis. Probably one of the best starting rotations in the National League I've ever seen put together. Bruce Bochy, I thought, and the fans did a great job in putting this whole team together. And I just got a text from Sean. He's on his way to the studio, so when we come back from the break in about 10 minutes, he'll be on with us for SNS. It's funny, he's actually here because he left his laptop charger here last week. So, but something happened on Monday, and this is when the pitchers and the reserves were announced. Obviously, everybody knows Alex Rodriguez did not make the American League All-Star team, and, you know, obviously he had that one coming. I don't even really think he cares at this point. But obviously he didn't make it. The fans and the coaches, I personally believe, didn't want him there. And, you know, fan base, including myself, didn't want him there. But for whatever reason, the ESPN Baseball Tonight guys decided to say, and they didn't say it like this, but it was said similar. I forgot who said it. It might have been Carl Ravitch or something. He was like, well, the reason, you know, A-Rod put up the numbers. However, it was clear, and here's Sean Martin. And James Creange is now here. So, we'll get them set up real quick. What's going on? I put 1 and 2 on if you guys, or we'll put on 3.
Yeah, I got you.
All right. So, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Good. Pretty good.
So, Sean, I just got into something else, so we'll do SNS when we get back from the break, if that's cool with you.
Okay, sounds good.
So, and now Yankee fans, or kind of Yankee supporter and Yankee fan walked in, Sean Martin, James Creange. Sean, I was just getting into what the ESPN guys said about A-Rod and how they said that because he didn't make the All-Star team, because Ned Yost, who, in my opinion, is one of the smartest managers in baseball, decided that he was going to pick somebody else who had a better advantage of winning for the American League.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Ned Yost wants to build a team that not only is just a collection of the best guys, he wants to build a team he thinks can win this baseball game because, he thinks his team has a great chance to get back to the World Series, of course, and, everyone around baseball agrees as well, and why would you not want to be playing for home field advantage? So Ned Yost absolutely has a reason to try his hardest to build this team, and if you're trying to build a winning baseball team, and you already have Nelson Cruz and Prince Fielder, you don't necessarily need an Alex Rodriguez.
But it was just...
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, don't you think A-Rod could at least provide something as possibly a pinch hitter?
Yeah,
as clearly he can't field, but
every player that's going to be in contention for an All-Star game can provide something for you. But I do want to see A-Rod there, but at the same time, it's not like his story has gone untold. It's people are still going to be talking about him, even though he's not in the All-Star game. Yankees fans clearly know the impact he's had, so it's not like I'm dying from the beat out because we're a small market team that his story deserves to get out there. No, everyone knows what A-Rod has done this season, and it's just a matter of what he does in a Yankee uniform the rest of the way, as opposed to the AL All-Star.
Don't you think he's, in my opinion, I think he's kind of been blackballed from baseball while still being in baseball, obviously.
Yeah.
As far as people, he wasn't even in that final bit of fan voting of the final five, and I think he absolutely deserved a spot in there. Possibly even more than Gardner did.
This is what I had against what the Baseball Tonight guys said. It was the way they said it. Like, tell the truth and say the fans, coaches, and players don't want him there because based on what he did this season, I feel he deserved to be there.
Of course, if he doesn't sit out all last year, and this is maybe 2 years ago, he's in the All-Star game.
Now, do I think he deserves to be in the starting lineup? No. Josh Donaldson, obviously, he's going to play third, put up a hell of a year. And Nelson Cruz obviously deserved to be the DH. But you look at his stats. OPS of 892. What is it? 16 home runs, 47 RBIs, batting .280. Anybody in the American League with those numbers is on the team except him. But it was just the way the ESPN guys said it. Oh, he's not deserving enough. That's crap. That's crap.
He's completely deserving of it.
He is. And I can't believe I'm saying this as a Mets fan and an A-Rod hater. But he deserved it. And of course, he's not going to be picked for the team because they don't want him there and I don't want him there. But for them to just say, oh, well, Ned Yost wanted to find somebody more deserving based off this year, that's crap.
And you look at the bottom of the Yankee lineup, and, earlier in the year he was kind of batting down there before moving up, and he has the ability to kind of hit, anywhere in this lineup besides the very top.
Yeah.
And how valuable that's been for the Yankees this season because, we knew it was going to be a pretty good lineup in the middle. It was a matter of how good were they going to be down at the bottom, and with a guy like A-Rod getting on base pretty consistently and hitting for a high average this year, he's really kind of answered that for the Yankees and been
no question
one of their most valuable players.
I think he's absolutely an MVP candidate. If he's not looked at so poorly from everyone
that'll be
else
another
in the league.
story in November.
There's no way he's up for voting for
no,
MVP.
he won't be. But if he keeps up the numbers and
the Yankees keep winning,
if the Yankees keep winning and go to win the AL East, which I personally think they're going to do at this point. He could be in the conversation, maybe as an unofficial MVP, because the fans and everybody in the MLB aren't going to give it to him after what he did, lying about steroids the second time, suing his own union, and then getting caught.
Yeah.
So, obviously, him being in the All-Star game was the only way he was going to be in is if Ned Yost was going to pick him. Now, let's say A-Rod's got another maybe 3 or 4 years left, the way I see this. Unless the Yankees go to the World Series in one of those 4 years and Joe Girardi's managing the American League, you will never see A-Rod in an All-Star game again.
Totally
You'll
agree.
never see him in the starting lineup again. Because I feel the only way he could ever get in again is if a coach picks him.
I agree. Totally agree.
It's kind of sad in a way because really he's...
But he did it to himself.
He did it to himself.
It's not really sad. I mean,
he's still,
he did it to himself.
I mean, he did, but he's still a guy who's devoted to the game. You hear, answering questions about, what's been, important to him coming back, and he's just so happy to just be playing the game. He said it didn't even matter to him necessarily, how good, how his numbers were going to be. Obviously, every player cares about the numbers to an extent, but, he wanted it to be a slow, gradual thing as long as he was being able to be back in the game that he's played.
But he's also always been the guy that's been
he
begging for approval.
Yeah, my phone is blowing up right now.
Yeah.
So I just got a text from Craig. Not looking like he's going to be able to listen, so we'll have the decision next week on SNS.
Okay. Well, we get to skip that. We know I'm going to win. So.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, cocky. So I do respect you for not taking it easy. Yes, it is my birthday today.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday,
So
son.
I respect you for not taking it easy. But what are you going to try to do? Make me cry on the air? Is your heart that cold?
That wasn't my goal.
This guy yesterday,
that was never
he
my
goes,
intention.
This guy's like, I'm not taking it easy on your birthday. I'm still going to win. I'm like, what are you going to try to make me cry? And then he's like,
that's your fault if you cry. I mean,
that is true. There is no crying on WMSC.
There's no crying in SMC Sports.
No, there is no
I
crying.
said that explicitly.
Listen, I don't mind how this goes today because you know what? When I get home, I'm still going out for a steak dinner. Life is
True.
great.
Do you
Life
go
is
to the
great.
Outback? That's where I always go for my birthday.
No, I think, have you ever been to Steve's Sizzling Steaks?
No, is it good?
Oh, it's great. That's where I want to
Yeah.
go. But going back to A-Rod, though, in my own opinion, unless Joe Girardi's managing the American League, you won't see him in the game again.
Agree. Totally agree.
And he could
Agree.
have, 2 times more of the season that he's having right now. I'm sure there's a good majority of the fan base who voted him in, but at the same time, there is a lot more who said, screw A-Rod. He's not deserving of it. The only way he's going to get in is if a coach picks him, and that clearly didn't happen. But it was the way ESPN went out and said it, that somebody could have been more deserving. I'm sorry. The way that he's played this year, A-Rod, I thought, was deserving enough to get picked by Yost. I'm glad he's not there. And thanks, Dad, for wishing me a happy birthday. He told me to read that on the air, too. But the way he played this year, I thought he was very deserving to be in the game. I don't want him there, but I thought he was deserving enough.
Yeah.
It's, the reason he didn't make it, point blank, players, coaches, and fans don't want him there. Not because he's not deserving.
When you look at his stats compared to the guys that Yost picked, I mean, he's better than about half of them.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I think it's hard to argue that he would be, or it's hard to say he wouldn't help you off the bench in some way.
I wrote this on Facebook a few nights ago because I had to rant about it. When the lineups were picked, obviously his OPS went down, but at the time it was 902. Any American League player on the roster who had an OPS of over 900 was picked on the All-Star team, except for A-Rod. The numbers that he put up in the first half of the year were incredible. But it's just, clearly, it's not about what he did this year. It's about what he did in the past. That's why he's not on this team.
Yep.
So we're going to take a quick break coming up. Myself and Sean will argue for about 15 minutes on SNS. That should be a lot of fun. So 12 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange. I know how to pronounce it this time.
That's good.
Now I know how it's spelled.
1 for 1.
Well, you want to know why? Because I didn't know how it was spelled last time.
It's a lot easier knowing how it's spelled, but,
Yeah.
a lot of people still mess it up.
Yep, so Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange on SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC. Back after this.
Hey, it's Jesse Leach from Killswitch Engage, and you're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair.
Yeah, whatever. All right, 18 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange stepped out for a minute. And now we will officially kick off our SNS debate. Thank you, Sean, for showing up late.
Yep.
Did you hit traffic or?
Yeah, Parkway North traffic on
Ah.
exits 140 through 50, always a mess.
See, I don't understand that, but what are you gonna do? So,
I told you North Jersey's no fun. I hate to say
North
it.
Jersey's awesome.
North Jersey's terrible.
Nah.
Central
So
and
why'd you
South
come to
Jersey.
school here?
I love the school. I don't like anything else that's around here.
Whatever. So, SNS time, and a few nights ago, the All-Star rosters were picked, and we really couldn't agree on a topic more than this one. Who's going to win the 2015 MLB All-Star Game?
AL.
Now, I'm a Mets fan representing the NL. Sean, you're the AL. Yankee fan representing the AL. You are obviously the visitor on my show. Your argument first. We have 15 minutes. Go.
All right. Well, first of all, obviously you can't go wrong with either of these teams. Just to start off, I think the fans did a great job once again.
Agreed.
Voting for both of these teams. So we're gonna have a fun All-Star game, no matter who wins. Watching these players play, but I think with the American League, there's a number of reasons why I think this team is going to be better off and have a better chance at winning this game. First of all, you have a manager in Ned Yost who, has not taken this game lightly at all. We just talked about what he mentioned with the whole A-Rod situation. Ned Yost isn't just kind of throwing together the best players and hoping it's a winning team. And no, Ned Yost is trying to build this team to win this game. And, as well as I do from playing baseball and watching it as long as you have, it's not always the compilation of best players that wins the game. It's a compilation of, the right players, the lineup that's going to get on base, the pitchers that are going to be able to pitch in the big spots. You want the right team, not the best team necessarily out there. And I think that's exactly what this AL team has been able to build. Outside of that, obviously Yost is a manager who thinks that his Royals team is going to be able to compete to get back to the World Series in the American League, and I agree 100%. Everyone around baseball is still obviously thinking that the Royals are a top contender. No reason to think not. That. So, yeah, you can even agree with that. Oh, yeah. So why would you not want to manage your heart out, try to get a Game 7 in your place, which it was last year, and they couldn't win it. So they're going to try to get back to that. So the AL, I think, is just a better all-around team, more inspiration with their manager to win this game. And, lastly, how high I am on pitching. Take a look at their pitching staff. And the NL team is really built on, a lot of starting pitching guys that are going to have to come in a situation they're not comfortable with, whereas the AL is really built. You have the great starters, obviously, Chris Sale, Sonny Gray, and what I also like is you have a lot of guys that throw different pitches from different arm angles. But you have the bullpen guys like Dylan Betances, to give him a shout out. Hopefully he'll be coming in the 8th or 9th inning. You have Brad Boxberger, Zach Britton, Wade Davis. You have these guys who are used to pitching, coming in after the starters. So I think this AL team is just built to win, and I think they're going to get it done in Cincinnati.
Your argument's good, and I personally think this is probably going to be Craig's toughest SNS judging ever, because both of these teams are very even. And you're right, Ned Yost is, and I said it before, one of the smartest managers in baseball. But you take a look on the other side, and Bruce Bochy, almost identical. Okay, Bruce Bochy is going to manage this game like it's Game 7 in Kansas City again. And both the Giants and the Royals, I believe, can get to the World Series again if they try. I firmly believe Yost and Bochy can be the managers again next year. And you're right. When it comes to the fans and the voting and the coaches, I thought they did a great job of putting both teams together. When you look at this NL team, though, pitching stands out. Bumgarner, Burnett, his first All-Star game, possibly his last. DeGrom, Greinke, Miller, Scherzer, Walker. He has so many options on who to start and who could come in the 3rd and 4th innings and get outs, 5th and 6th. He has so many options, not besides his bullpen. When you got Chapman and K-Rod, the re-emerging of K-Rod.
See, I don't think these starters are going to be comfortable necessarily coming in and facing this American League All-Star lineup, not in a normal setting, which is starting. It's hard to explain, but we've seen it happen in baseball a lot. How many times did you see Mariano Rivera, the greatest, undoubtedly the greatest closer of all time, come into a tie game and just suddenly turn into a shell of what he is, and usually give up the go-ahead run? It's hard to explain.
That could happen with any team.
It's hard to explain, but that happened throughout his career, and I think it could happen to this NL team. All it takes is one starter. Maybe the first, let's say they give their starter, whoever starts, 2 innings. You bring a new guy in the 3rd, he might have a good inning, change it up again for maybe have someone pitch the 4th and 5th. AL, even if the AL hasn't scored yet, then the starters you bring in for the 6th, he might have a bad inning. All of a sudden, that would break it open. I think we're looking at a game where the deciding runs are going to be scored late, and I like my chances with this AL lineup.
I have to disagree. I think this NL lineup was built very well. You have Buster Posey, a Bochy guy, Goldschmidt, who has an MVP season, Gordon leading the league in hits, Frazier, the hometown hero, Peralta at shortstop. I might change that, but I like him at shortstop. And you got Harper, Holiday, and McCutchen in the outfield. 3 very amazing outfielders who know how to play their positions. You look at this entire NL team, they've got a strong bench, they've got a strong lineup, they have great coaches. I don't necessarily know who the coaches are yet, but Bochy, smartest manager in the National League, proof positive, Game 7 in Kansas City, bringing in Bumgarner in the 5th inning. He's going to do that. He's going to have those type of strategies in this All-Star game. He wants Game 7 in San Francisco. That's what he's shooting for right now. He's not shooting for, I want to give the National League the advantage. He's saying, no, I want San Francisco Game 1. Well, That's what he's shooting for.
Ned Yost wants Kansas City, Game 7 in Kansas City. So
point blank right there. You're right. But you look at this National League lineup, it has to be one of the best I've ever seen. You know, Bochy's a manager who's won 3 World Series in the last 6 years. Again, one of the smartest managers in baseball. He's going to manage this game like it's a World Series game. He's not going to manage it like a stupid exhibition game that everybody's saying that it is. He's going to manage it like it has importance because he knows that his San Francisco team has what it takes to go back. And with this lineup, I feel the National League has what it takes to win.
See, I feel like we fall into this conversation, near every All-Star game. Everyone just gets caught up with the lineup, and obviously, it's hard not to because 1 through 9 is the best lineup you're ever going to see. No MLB team will ever be able to construct a lineup that resembles one as good as when you compile them into the All-Stars, clearly. But, we get caught up in the lineup. When's the last time we saw an All-Star game where both teams were just coming out slugging and we had like a 12-10 kind of game? That just doesn't happen. Usually these games are won on pitching and defense.
I think Arizona was a good one, though. I think that was like a 5-4 finish.
Yeah, 5-4, you'll see stuff like that. But with these lineups, everyone expects all these, theatrics and the ball flying out of the ballpark every pitch. No, we have...
Oh, no, 2008 Yankee Stadium, that was kind of high scoring.
Yeah,
but go on.
That one was high scoring.
Go on.
This AL team has great pitching and defensively, something I forgot to mention. I think this AL team is built incredibly solid on the defensive end, so I think those things win baseball games, especially 2 evenly matched teams. Baseball is a hard sport to predict, so it's hard to give the edge to a certain team. The lineups kind of cancel each other out. It's the small things that win games. You know that as well as I do. Pitching, defense, pitching, defense, and little things like that. Bullpen coming in late, which the AL has more than the NL. That's what's going to decide this game.
I can agree with that. That is going to be the deciding factor of this game. Is I personally believe who's going to pitch better, who's going to be the hero on offense. And you also have to take into fact, though, the final vote. Johnny Cueto last night pitched outstanding against Max Scherzer. He threw a 2-hitter. All these final
vote Gardy.
You know what? I will vote Gardy because he deserves to be there as well.
Hashtag Gardy goes Yodi.
Last I checked in the standings, Familia was dead last.
Oh, good.
I think it's going to be Kershaw or Cueto. But, getting back to my point.
It should be Kershaw.
Well, it should be. But going back to my point, though, this is a National League lineup that has to be one of the best I've seen since they started winning again back in 2011. You've got the pitching. You've got Bochy's guy in Bumgarner, who I personally believe is going to start this game, him or Scherzer. Buster Posey, who has to be one of the best catchers of this modern era. Goldschmidt having an unbelievable season with Arizona, if only he had the team really to back it up. Gordon's leading the league in hits. Frazier's going to be playing in front of his hometown crowd. I feel he could easily have a 1-for-2 kind of day. Bryce Harper in the outfield is always dangerous. Would I have started Matt Holliday? Not so sure, but I like him in left field, and obviously McCutchen was a great replacement for Giancarlo Stanton. Obviously, I would rather have Stanton in the lineup, but he's not ready for another 6 weeks. This is a great National League starting lineup, and when you take a look against the American League, yes, the American League has won the last 2 years in a row. Yes, they have gone on record winning like the last 14 before 2011, but I'm very comfortable and what's the word I'm looking for? Very confident in this National League starting lineup, in their bench, especially with the guys that they've got. Adrian Gonzalez, you've got, who is it? You see, I can't even remember the bench right now. That's how good it is.
That's why I'm pulling
Yadier Molina, who I feel could be a great guy to come off the bench as well. All of these guys who I think can build a National League bench. And then you, again, attest to the final vote as well. So, point being, this is one of the best National League lineups I've ever seen, and I think it's enough to take down the American League.
See, when I look at this National League lineup, I'm impressed by the names I see, and I'm, 1 through 9, they are good names in every spot, but as a complete lineup that comes together, I really don't see it as being that great of a lineup, and that's something I preached, going into the Yankees season, and it's something that I'm going to stick by in defending, their league's all-star team. Like I said, coming into this, it's not always the lineup with the best names that wins. It's a lineup that, you want a lineup that's constructed how, a traditional baseball lineup is supposed to be, and I think it's one of the main reasons that people are overlooking why the Yankees have been successful this season. Look at what the Yankees have done in past years when they won in 2009 and the years they were successful. It was the power bats in the middle and then guys who could somewhat get on base the rest of the lineup. And those power guys were either hot in the playoffs and we won, or they were dead cold and we would get swept. So, that's not the kind of lineup you want to see. And this year I think they really made an effort to build a complete lineup. You're going to get Jacoby Ellsbury back today with Brett Gardner at the top of the lineup. So those two guys are going to get on base, be able to steal. We're going to be able to bunt them over, be able to do some things, set the table for Mark Teixeira, Alex Rodriguez. Then you get the big home run guys, outside of those two with Brian McCann, I hate to say Carlos Beltran, but hopefully he can do something in the second half. And then the bottom of the lineup, guys, Didi Gregorius has been a lot better getting on base and getting back to the top of the lineup. Stephen Drew has shown signs of getting better. So I think, that's a lineup for success. That's the formula for success in today's, in 2015 modern MLB. Obviously the league is trending towards pitching. We all know that.
Yes.
So if you want a lineup that's going to win, you need guys that are going to be able to get on base, drive up pitch counts, which is also something the Yankees have done well. And I think this AL lineup resembles kind of lineup that can do that. I think they're going to be able to get enough guys on base, and even if they're not scoring every inning, it's going to make things more difficult for Bochy. And in the end, like I said, the winning runs are going to be scored late. I think the AL team's going to pull it out.
So that's your prediction, and that's a good one. You had a great argument, but for me, I personally think, again, this NL lineup is one of the best I've ever seen. You've got guys all around this lineup, especially on the bench, who know how to play. All of them, I feel, could have been starters, except for maybe a few. You got Posey behind the plate, who I feel will be very comfortable playing behind Bochy in the All-Star game. I believe this is Goldschmidt's second start. Gordon's first. Yeah, there are a lot of young guys, but at the same time, you can attest to that in the American League as well. A lot of guys who haven't played in the starting lineup in the All-Star game. Take a look at the pitching. I feel Bochy is very comfortable making a decision on who he wants to start. It could be Bumgarner, Greinke, Miller, Scherzer, Wacha. Doesn't matter, because I don't think it's going to be DeGrom or Burnett. No, I don't think so. Burnett was lucky to make the team. But looking at these starting pitchers...
Hashtag Yankees that were unsuccessful in New York that went to Pittsburgh to have good careers.
He was unsuccessful everywhere before Pittsburgh, really.
Yeah.
But the point is, he's got a great starting pitching staff to look at, and that's exactly what you said, Sean. This league is coming to around pitching now, and that's exactly what I feel the National League has voted on. It's what, I almost said Ned Yost, what Bruce Bochy has picked for his team, and that's what I think is going to take down the American League. I'll even give you a score. 3-1 National League. That's my guess.
I'll go 4-2 AL. They scored 2 runs in the 6th.
So, 2 runs in the 6th?
Yeah.
All right, so we both agree it's a very competitive, more like defense game.
Yeah.
All right. So that's going to conclude SNS. Very
AL
good
is
argument.
A better defense.
I wouldn't say it. Well,
and all-around lineup. And pitchers that are going to be used to pitching late in the game.
Well, we'll let Craig decide that, and we'll let the Fox cameras record that on Tuesday night in Cincinnati. So, great argument. Always fun arguing with you, Sean.
Thank you.
Anytime. Definitely one of our better SNSs, I thought. So, we're going to take a quick break. James will be back in the studio with us. We'll wrap up All-Star Game a little bit later, but we have a lot of NFL to talk about, especially on the Giants side of things. NBA free agency to talk about as well. 32 minutes past the hour. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin on SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC. Back after this. All right, 36 minutes past the hour here on SMC Sports on WMSC. 973-655-4256 is the number to call. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange in the studio. See, I'm getting it 2 for 2.
That is great.
Because you know what? Again, if you know how to spell it, it's a lot easier. So
Batting 1,000.
Batting 1,000. So myself and Sean just finished SNS. We'll have the decision from Craig Gorbanoff next week. I'll have to send him the file. He will let me know probably during next week's show. So we'll touch base on MLB a little later after our interview with New Jersey Jackals play-by-play announcer Michael Cohen. Jackals update, won the top of the 9th, 6-1 Jackals over the Rockland Boulders, so we should be hearing from him, I would say around 2 p.m., maybe a little later. So let's discuss a little bit NFL because a lot happened last week. But we'll start with the most obvious in the area, besides Sheldon Richardson's suspension, which we'll get to later. JPP. Potentially blowing off his hand in a fireworks stunt on the 4th of July, and now his $60 million contract is now gone.
Idiotic.
First of all, if you have a U-Haul worth of fireworks And you're gonna and you want to light them off on the 4th of July, and you're entitled to. We were lighting off fireworks on my block, so you're more than entitled to represent America. Sign the contract July 3rd. Yeah. What's the worst you gotta lose? You blow off your hand, you're still $30 million richer.
Yep.
Like,
but instead, I'm just gonna blow off my hand before I get paid.
I'm gonna blow off my hand, and now he could possibly, most likely, miss minicamp and possibly the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and he really, everyone said that he was gonna be a breakout player when he was in his prime, and then he kind of went downhill a little bit.
Yeah,
and,
he's not JPP anymore.
He's still a big contributor to their defense,
year.
but he's not the superstar defensive end, and now this is obviously a big setback.
And without him against Dallas in week 1, you know how that one's going to end.
Yeah. Romo have plenty of time to throw.
Speaking of him with Rolando McClain, we'll get to that in a minute too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if I'm JPP and I'm going to light off fireworks, I'm going to call my agent and be like, by the way, we're signing that contract, and the date is going to be July 3rd at like 11:59 p.m.
Yep.
Like, that contract will be signed before the U-Haul worth of fireworks comes my way, and I decide I'm going to light it off at close range and then blow off my own hand.
It's dumb. It's just stupid. These guys just don't think. He's professional athletes.
He's lucky he didn't blow off his own hand. He's really, what did he get, nerve damage in one finger? He got lucky. He really did get lucky. He's not like the one guy in Maine who decided to light off fireworks on his head.
That was
I
stupid.
did not hear about that.
Well, you didn't hear about that?
No.
Yeah, the guy decided he was going to light off fireworks on the top of his head. He's obviously
Who
dead now.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Apparently, him and a bunch of alcohol did. But
good decisions brought to you by alcohol.
Good decisions brought to you by WMSC.
It's all you.
How do you light off fireworks on the 4th of July knowing you have a giant contract that has not been signed yet? How more stupid could you be?
I want to see what Francesa had to say about that. He was probably...
Francesa's been out all week.
Oh.
Joe and Evan had stuff to say about it, though, because they took his time slot.
Francesa would be throwing stuff.
You're lighting off fireworks that are dangerous.
This guy's blowing his hand off. He has to play defensive end with no hand. Like, what?
You know what's funny? JPP probably still could.
Oh, yeah.
It reminded me of a couple of years ago. I know you guys aren't Jets fans, but Kevin Mawai, the center on the Jets, just had a club. He had broken his hand, and he just basically had a club. And, it beat guys up, essentially, instead of blocking.
If a club can actually be good. O-line if a club, I'm not sure how that would work.
Wake up! But it's funny to me. And, Joe and Evan had a lot of stuff to say about it. I think it was yesterday. They were like, how can you... And I was talking to you about it. I was listening to Joe and Evan. It was like 1:05 on Monday. And they were talking about the possibility of the contract being pulled off the table. Minutes later, get an update. JPP's $60 million contract pulled off the table. For 20 minutes, WFAN had no idea. They had no idea that the contract was pulled off the table.
It must have been 20 minutes, and I had no idea.
Oh, my God. We were talking about that the other day, too. Have you ever listened to a Yankee game and for, like, minutes not know who was at bat, who was winning?
Yeah, you don't even realize you're listening to a Yankee game.
About a month ago, and I don't know why I wasn't listening to the Mets game. I guess I forgot, or they were getting blown out in Toronto. I don't know. But they were playing...
Beat the Blue Jays, damn it.
They were playing Miami. And literally, I was driving from my shift at the rec here home to Lyndhurst, 20 minutes. For 20 minutes, I didn't know who was up for the Yankees. I didn't know the score. I didn't even know who the Yankees were playing. I get off Route 3, and I'm like, wait, who are the Yankees playing?
Yeah, he only says the score in between innings. And what I also love about him, and this is cracking me up a few times when I'm listening while driving, is there's no noticeable change at all in the way he calls the game, depending on the score. If it's a close game, if it's a blowout. I was driving one time, thinking, his calls had all the feel of a close game because you're still like doing every pitch, and it's just kind of there's no noticeable signs of saying that this game's a blowout. And all of a sudden, the last out is made, and through 4, it's 20. It's like 22-6 Blue Jays. I was like, what?
All game over. Blue Jays win 22-6.
Yeah, like that was an actual score after like 4 innings. I think it was one of the games that like Ching-Ming Wong started when he.
Ching-Ming Wong.
Yeah. And I was like,
the worst part of the Yankee games are when Susan has to take three innings to get downstairs to interview the players.
Yep.
So Sterling does the last 7th through the 9th by himself. That's brutal. That's brutal radio.
Honestly, to do play-by-play without color is one thing, but without Susan Waldman, I think it benefits him a little bit.
Yeah, that is.
I'm not a big Susan fan, but
you know what's funny? WFAN celebrated their 29th anniversary. Susan Waldman was the first voice heard on WFAN. Did you know that?
Yes.
I did not.
Yes.
She gave the first 2020 sports report on, I believe it was July 1st, 1987, I believe.
Yep.
And the world was never the same.
Well, it was never the same after that. And in 2000, what was it, 13? She returned to WFAN. I'm still mad that the Mets dropped WFAN.
Yeah, that was bad. Bad move.
I like WOR though. I really do. We actually had a sports host from WOR on the show a few weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, Pete McCarthy.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, he was pretty cool, dude. A lot of these guys are really cool because you know they remember where they came from.
Yeah, yeah.
And he actually said at the end of the interview, he goes, "Hey man, college radio, best years of my life. Enjoy it."
Really?
Yeah. So they're really humble about it, and that stuff I enjoy. But you know,
It's all here.
yeah, it's all here.
I need to stop using that so often.
Well, this is our school, man. It's all here.
Yeah, but it's a dumb motto that I'm
except Wi-Fi.
I don't want to endorse a
except
terrible
Wi-Fi
slogan, except Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except Wi-Fi and snow days when you really need them.
And not snow days when there's actually snow.
Yeah, yeah.
Because-
Back in the winter we had
MSU logic.
back in the winter we had a snow day. It was like right at the beginning of the spring semester. It was in January. We were expected to have like 25 inches of snow. We only ended up getting like 8, so it was enough to cancel school, but it wasn't enough as we were expecting. We got more than the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Then in March, we were supposed to have a storm that was like 5 inches. We ended up getting like, I don't know, maybe 10.
Yeah.
Only school in the state not to be shut down. Only school.
I know we were talking last night about things we're not looking forward to when we get back, and one of those has to be when it starts getting cold again. That's
My God.
That's going to be no fun.
That's why I went to Texas.
Listen,
I mean, it gets cold,
October
but-
I'll be fine with. When we get to November and December and we start getting those 20-degree days again in
And
the
you get
wind
the
tunnel,
wind blowing.
I'm gonna kill myself.
No amount of jackets
When-
can keep you warm because the
When it
wind's
gets
just
to
going right
60
through.
in December, I'm shivering.
I'll come visit.
Texas.
yeah, we'll come visit.
I'd go to TCU.
Yeah, I'm chilling in the TCU booth, man. No worries there.
Wow,
You know, just
so
a
TCU.
giant booth. It's like, you want to come see our booth? It's not enough room for the way Satesh screams in there.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's actually picked up on opposing teams like radio broadcasts before.
He has.
Yep.
Kat has told me that constantly. Like, the Rowan guys are looking at him going, "Are you nuts?" She's told me constantly that he does that. So, a lot more to talk about in the NFL. We'll discuss more on JPP. A lot of the suspensions going on. We got NBA free agency to talk about. And Jackal's game still going on top of the 9th. Rockland just scored it. I believe it's now 6-2. So we'll wait for Cohen. I believe we'll get him probably at about 2 o'clock. So 44 minutes past the hour. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange. 973-655-4256, the number to call. SMC Sports, back after this. Yeah, your mic's on too. 49 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC.
I'm turning my mic off.
Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, and Rock that we found in the studio.
So I'll put the rock on the mic. Hold on.
Accurate. James Creange had to step out. He's having a Wi-Fi problem with his laptop.
What else is new at this campus?
Well, setting it up was always a pain.
Well, just staying connected to it. You watch. He's going to be connected.
Oh, I know.
He's going to come back in 5 minutes later. It's going to turn off. And
So
we're
I've
just
been
gonna
connected
laugh.
4 seconds.
So we've
no
been
Wi-Fi.
connected for 5 minutes. Still not working.
Still no Wi-Fi. So, still a lot to talk about. We just discussed the idiotic Jason Pierre Paul blowing up his hand and losing his contract. Now, personally, I feel he's still going to be re-signed by the Giants. Just not for as much money, not as many years. But there is a chance the Giants just pull the plug and release him.
No, I don't think they're going to release
I
him.
don't think they will, but there's always that chance.
There is a chance, but he's a fan favorite guy. They know what he's
The
meant
Giants
to
will
the
be
team.
terrible without him this year.
Yeah, and he fills an obvious need that they have on that defensive line.
Oh, of course. But you take a look at the whole situation. Again, sign the contract July 3rd. If you don't like the contract, you're going to play with a U-Haul worth of fireworks. I'm signing the contract. Worst case, I blow up my hand. I can never play again. I'm still $30 million richer.
I don't even want to know like what types of fireworks he had. You were probably using the low budget ones that don't
Bottle
do anything.
rockets.
Yeah, bottle rocket type ones. He probably had the crazy giant 15 missile ones that, you know. So.
You know what? He probably drove to South Carolina and got him and then drove back.
Well, you can get them in Pennsylvania.
But he did it in Florida. Why would he go to Pennsylvania?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe he got him after OTAs or something.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Accurate.
So, so we have a lot of, and I wrote this down before, suspensions in the NFL that took place last week. Antonio Gates, Dayton Jones, Rolando McClain, it's really going to hurt us, and Sheldon Richardson, all being suspended last week. All pretty much simultaneously, too.
Yeah, and, you know, they all came out at roughly the same time, which was shocking. And the most shocking, I think, was Antonio Gates. That when I saw
very much.
When I saw that one on my phone, I was like, wait, what? And now, I think a couple of days ago, Phil and Rivers saying that, you know, what he believed caused it, and then it was an accident and whatnot. So, you know, people around the NFL were shocked at this Gates suspension.
Yeah, I was too at the beginning, and I wasn't really surprised with Dallas because everybody's getting suspended on Dallas for whatever reason. It's just the Jets' whole story to lose players, but, you know, Craig wrote an article the other day. I really didn't get a chance to read it, but I read the title. Sheldon Richardson gone, no problem. He believes Leonard Williams could step up, and I believe him. Yeah,
and the whole thing that, you know, a lot of Jets fans were saying when they drafted Williams was we should trade Richardson, you know, but most, the team said, and most, you know, a good amount of fans still said that, and Craig being one of them, said that they should not trade Richardson, keep the depth, and have that as the strength of your team. You know, it's worked in the past for this team, so it makes sense to build a New York Jets team that's been prided on defensive Rex Ryan around a defensive line. And so, you know, they stuck with that. I think it was the right direction, but now for the first 4 games, it's not going to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And James is now rejoining us in studio. I don't know what's going on with his laptop. He's trying to log on to MSU Wi-Fi for the first time, so...
Yeah, I think I'll be able to do it after the show.
All right, yeah.
I need you to sponsor me or something.
Yeah, I would recommend that as well.
Yeah.
So, we were just talking about the NFL suspensions that came down last week.
Damon Harrison is an idiot. He's an idiot. How do you do that? I mean, they argue with me all you want. You know, everyone's saying, well, marijuana should be legalized or should be legalized in the NFL.
No, I think it should.
But the fact is, it's not. It's not in the NFL.
I agree.
It's against the rules in the NFL to smoke pot, so why are you doing it?
For Sheldon Richardson to do it once and then do it again.
He's an idiot.
He had the 4 games coming. Now, the first one against Cleveland should be winnable for the Jets, but I don't know the 4 games off the top of my head. I know Craig will. I'm sure you've got Miami and New England in there somewhere. And then I know you've got Indianapolis, I believe, week 4.
It makes Leonard Williams look like a better pick now.
But you know what? Now
Definitely.
Leonard Williams has to step up.
Exactly.
He has to step up. And you know what? The first 4 games, if the Jets split them or go 3-1, it's perfect for them.
Yeah.
You have Cleveland, then you have Andrew Luck, then you get the DeMarco Murray rushing attack that's going to be the Eagles, and then the Dolphins.
Oh,
They're going to be 0-4.
You think so?
They're going to be 1-3.
I hate that. They're terrible.
1-3.
1-3. I agree, Sean. I think they could beat Cleveland.
Maybe.
Actually,
I think if anyone, they beat Miami.
Hey, you know, I'm looking at the Shackles game right now. 6-5. 6-6.
what's the top?
Play at the plate. He's out.
He's out. We got him. What's happening?
Is that game? That's game.
I should have stuck around.
That is game.
Come on, you got to sell the call. Give us some play-by-play.
That's what it looked like. How can I give you play-by-play? The score isn't updating in time. So it looks like I guess it looks like that's the end of the game. The game ended on a play at the plate. Somebody, I guess, tried to hit a 3-run double.
John Sterling, WMSC here. Play at the plate. The game's over. What?
Apparently, Howie Rose and Josh, what's his name? Josh Lewin are calling the game.
Yeah. Howie Rose does Jackals games now.
So I guess the game ended 6-5 because I saw the first 2 runs score.
Big win.
Very big win. Because they split the doubleheader yesterday.
Yep.
Did you have to work the whole doubleheader, or you only?
I did. I didn't work. No, I typically would work every game, but I didn't work yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had a doubleheader yesterday. That's when James is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna call out of work today."
Doubleheaders are great because they only do 7 innings for each game.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, so you get a lot more tips because people stick around.
Yep. Showing game ended 6-5.
Nice.
That's very accurate.
Accurate.
Yeah, they almost,
Jackals
how do
win
you
the ball game.
They go into the top of the 9th with a 6-1 lead? You win 6-5.
Who pitched? Ninth.
I don't know who pitched in the 9th because it's not really giving stats, just really a score and a camera.
Yeah.
It's like the Yankees against the Angels a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
Accurate. So with that being said, Michael Cohen should be joining us in the next few minutes. I'll tweet him if we take a break at around like 2 to just see if he's still coming on. So we should be hearing from him
Getting back to Harrison real quick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the guy's an idiot. And, he wants to be paid like Ndamukong Suh. Yeah, he thinks he's the best player in the NFL, best defensive player in the NFL. I just don't think you deserve the contract now. I mean, you're clearly a moron.
Yeah.
And, we talk about him, we talk about JPP. Like, these guys just don't think, what am I doing in a contract year? Like, if you want to smoke pot, do it next year after you sign your contract.
Yeah, after you have the money.
After you have the money. It's like JPP. Like, sign the contract July 3rd before you go blow up your hand at fireworks.
Accurate.
Dumb. Idiotic.
Literally, like, if I was his agent, I would have called him and been like, you're playing with fireworks. Sign the contract.
Isn't it crazy that guys keep getting suspended every year? At the beginning of the year, there's, 10 to 20 suspensions for guys smoking pot. Like, at some point, aren't they just going to stop smoking?
Yeah, like, you see one guy get caught, and everyone just continues to do it. No, if you're in the NFL, the risk is way too high.
I mean, they get
they're
drug
gonna keep
tested
suspending
all
guys.
the time.
So, it's hurting these teams. You had the Steelers.
It's hurting the league
with
in
Le'Veon
general.
Bell and all that.
It is.
So.
I mean, the league has almost become. It's got this like thug. Thug look on.
I agree.
Now, it's.
It's really hurting the NFL the way everybody's trying to downplay
terrible.
this.
That's why it's so important, though. I know the background on these guys. I know someone we talked about this a while on Craig, so we were getting ready for the draft. How important it is to know, is this a guy who just is a freak of nature at his position, but he's not going to be smart off the field, and he's not really a well-rounded guy, or is he a guy who's going to be in the film room, dedicated to this team, and also be skilled enough to be an NFL football
It's almost
player.
like some of the guys in his draft. You look at Winston, you look at Shane. Well, maybe not Winston more with drugs. I would say more maybe Shane Ray. You got to take a second look at him. He almost has a target on his back. This is what the NFL is coming down to. Older guys are trying to get their kids into sports and all this. We're trying to get more into it, and we get this crap instead.
Yep.
It's not good for the sport, any sport, for that matter.
Is there news on Brady's suspension, by the way?
He appealed it a few weeks ago. As far as I know, nothing's happened yet.
It seems like it's taking forever for them to hand out the final.
Yeah, the NFL is just trying to keep all those stories on the down.
If this thing takes forever just to tell me that they're taking away the suspension, we will have a 4-hour show based off Brady's suspension.
A 4-hour show.
They can hook me up to the Wi-Fi if I go now.
All right, you should go then.
All right.
All right, where you heading to? University Hall?
No, I'll be right across the hall. If you could just text me maybe your username and password.
Yeah, no problem.
Because you got to sponsor me.
Yeah, I got you.
Sorry, guys.
No problem. So James will step out for a little bit. We'll hopefully have him back by the in a few minutes or so. But going back to that, we get this crap instead with all the sports that are going on, especially football mostly. All these guys smoking pot, doing drugs, doing steroids, all that stuff. Like, this is the example that you're putting out for the younger generation. That's why it's getting worse.
Yeah, and it's really the NFL can only do so much as far as improving its image. As much as we want to talk about the bad stuff, yes, they do have plenty of good things that they do with youth football camps and things like that. So yes, all around the NFL is a league that a lot of people pay attention to, but they don't really do a lot as far as trying to improve their game. And I think that's something that baseball and other sports have done really well. They know they have the fan base. They know they don't have to swing for the fences as far as adjustments, but they also recognize that there's improvements that they can make. Whereas the NFL is kind of stuck in the ground. They say, well, you guys are going to support us, and clearly it has been. It's the biggest league in the USA, and it's making billions of dollars. So clearly they're basically saying, Roger Goodell, well, if you guys are going to keep coming to our games and you're going to make the Super Bowl the most watched thing on TV every year, we don't have to change much. We're just going to suspend the players that do dumb things, and so that they're not on the field.
Change the protocol.
Yeah, there needs to be changes to these things, but we're a long way off because of the way a lot of things are set up.
It's not even about what they're doing. It's about what they're doing to the younger generation. The younger generation is going to think, smoking pot is okay. Doing drugs and making myself bigger is okay. It's not okay. And NFL's not even giving warnings anymore. They're not changing protocols. They're just suspending people.
Yep.
Now at this point.
And also the length of the suspensions usually make no sense. You got, obviously everyone was up in arms about Ray Rice getting 2 games, and then guys getting busted for marijuana getting 2, or getting 4, and then Josh Gordon getting a full season. The lengths of these suspensions, Brady getting 4, they're all over the place because there's no protocols on these things.
Exactly.
They're kind of trying to make things up as they go along as far as the severity of what certain things that certain players did. No, every situation is a little bit different, but there should also be some, set protocol rules about what these guys are doing. And, I don't think it has to be necessarily a specific thing. I think it should just be if you break the drug policy, marijuana included in that, there should be a set number of games. It shouldn't be this varying thing because, let's face it, a lot of fans don't care about these types of storylines. No one is turning on NFL now to watch, four guys talk about, the length of a suspension and things like that. No, we want to hear football talk. That's
exactly.
But in this stuff.
But in July, there's nothing else to talk about. We just hit the top of the 2 o'clock hour.
Yeah, but I'm saying, this stuff takes away from that, and it keeps the NFL relevant, which is why they continue to do it. So the whole thing is just really a bad situation.
Exactly. We just hit the top of the 2 o'clock hour on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. SMC Sports on this Wednesday, July 8th, my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Sean. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin in the studio. James Creange has stepped out for, I believe, like the 5th time today.
To get his
Wi-Fi fixed.
This works, it's a miracle.
Exactly. He needs all my information, though, so I'll give that to him now when we go to the break.
He's going to steal your Red Hawk dollars.
Exactly. When we come back, we'll get more into the NFL a little bit. We'll have the media director, play-by-play announcer, the Jackals, Michael Cohen, on with us as well. And we'll discuss a lot more of MLB, Mets, Yankees, All-Star Game, etc., etc. 2 minutes past the 2 o'clock hour. Pull the
so
Neil.
We played 2 minutes.
No score. I have to do a Neil impression every day. Neil. So 2 minutes past 2 o'clock hour, 973-655-4256.
Which one for all of our broadcasters? Got to do a Sates impression.
Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange on SMC Sports. Back after this. 6 minutes past 2 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange is
now here for good.
James is here for good. It looks like so. Just discussed a lot of NFL that's going on right now. Now, me and Sean were just discussing how like the NFL's image is being almost like tainted, almost with all of this going on.
I agree. I totally agree.
You've got Sheldon Richardson, who almost gets like a slap on the wrist for the first time he did marijuana, and now he does it again, going, I won't get caught again.
Yeah.
And now you're out for the first 4 games of the year. You're possibly going to go 1-3 in all those 4. So.
It's even guys like Adam Pac-Man, formerly Pac-Man Jones, still in the league. After, I think he's missed 2.5 years total.
I think it was back in, 2007. He was still in the league 5 days after he paralyzed a kid.
Yes, yeah. No, it's ridiculous.
What is the NFL doing with this whole thing?
It's ridiculous.
Because they know that no matter how hard of a hit their image takes, they're never going to be able to get hit hard enough to the point where fans are going to stop watching the game.
No, fans are never going to stop watching.
So as long as they have the fans, they're going to have the money, and as long as they have money and revenue into the billions of dollars, there's no reason to really change anything that they're doing. Just keep covering up the bad stories, suspending the players that do something really wrong, and keep turning out the millions of dollars. We'll keep talking about it. They'll stay relevant year long, and it's a formula to continue to profit.
Did you guys see that they just signed a deal with Tottenham in England? That they'll play their games there until 2027.
Nice.
So I hate the NFL in London.
Yeah,
I really
don't like
it. really
it.
screws all those teams.
We're never going to get a team in London. I don't want a team in London.
No. I don't agree with the team in London. I like us going over there three times a year and playing. I like that.
Don't you think it gives a disadvantage to the Dolphins who have to play one less home game this season?
Yeah, I don't like it.
That's true.
I think, and if we're going to play there, just make it one game. And can we get a good matchup over there? They keep sending horrible teams over there. I forget.
That's because nobody only the Lions, the
because
Jaguars,
everybody in
the
England
Dolphins.
thinks that the NFL is royalty. It doesn't matter who you send over
there.
That's
true.
Well, if you're going to send the Lions, you can make a good matchup.
You could
send the Packers.
You could send St. Louis, Miami over there, and it'll be a sellout.
Yeah, well, it's a sellout, but they don't know the context of what they're watching. They don't necessarily know these players as well as we do, so they'll see what's happening and they'll be like, oh, this is decent football. But if we put 2 exciting teams out there, they'll be like, oh, wait, this is how week in and week out the NFL is being played, and it'll be more captivating.
There's actually a lot more people in London. Yeah, I just got back from London, and there's a lot more people watching football than I thought there was.
Really?
In London. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, they want to get good teams over there, but good teams don't want to go play there because they don't want to give up a home game.
Exactly.
So it's teams that aren't getting sellouts every week.
Like if I'm Dallas or if I'm New England or I'm New York or I'm San Francisco, I don't want to give up a home game.
Well, the Cowboys went to.
But I think we went as the visitors, so we didn't give up anything.
Yeah.
So it was Jacksonville giving up the home game.
Yep.
So I can agree. I wouldn't want to give up a home game either to go play in London.
Yes, yeah.
Especially a game that has to start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because it's already like 9 o'clock over there.
Yep.
It's like you can't.
Yeah, what did the Falcons Lions play at 9 in the morning this year?
Yeah, they played at 9 in the morning just so they can get an afternoon game in London. Why?
NFL London.
NFL London. I like it, but I do agree with the fact that I don't really would like as a Dallas fan to say, like, let's say Dallas went over again this year and we give up a home game. I wouldn't like that either.
Well, we suck at home, so let's go to London.
You know what? Let's just have all of our games on the road.
So you guys don't think, though, that there will ever be an NFL London team?
I don't think so. At least not for a very long time.
It makes no sense to have a team that far out where someone's going to have to fly there, different teams are going to have to fly out there on 8 separate occasions.
It would definitely be hard to attract free agents, especially with the conversion rate on contracts.
And
you would have to
move the draft. I would rather end my career and pursue like whatever I majored in college than go possibly play for London, depending on
You would have to move like the Patriots over there while everybody else is in the prime of their contracts and can't get out, or else it's a breach of contract. That's when you have to move a team over there.
I mean, but could you imagine, if the first overall pick, the London, whatever you're going to name the team,
London
Monarchs,
the London Monarchs,
select
whoever, Jameis Winston, is he going to want to go to London to play his career?
No.
Like, no,
it's like Okafor not wanting to go to Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, at least that's in the United States. He's just complaining because he's on a bad basketball team.
Well, Philadelphia's been a bad basketball team for a very long time now.
Yeah.
But no, it's like, and there were rumors of the Rams going over there. Those rumors were shut down a long time ago. But I heard rumors where they were going to practice in the United States and play their games in London. That's even more idiotic than them actually playing in London. I'm like, why would you practice in the United States and then play your home games in London?
Makes no sense.
That makes this whole thing makes no sense.
That makes absolutely worse sense than putting the team in London.
I guess because half of their games will have to be adjusting to the time zones and they'll lose out on practice. I truthfully have no idea. Idea.
You play where you're home, and you practice where you're home too.
I agree. It doesn't make
unless
sense.
unless you're on the
Cowboys
road.
Practice in Canada.
Yeah, unless you're on the road, then you practice. Wherever you're supposed to play, but you don't do that till like Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Unless you got a Thursday game. The whole idea is really just stupid. I like the teams playing there. I don't want a permanent team in London. That's the bottom line. I don't want a permanent team.
Can you imagine the chaos that would if there was a team in London and they made the Super Bowl one year and trying to decide the logistics of when they're coming in and all that.
Yeah,
that's true.
Be crazy.
Unless Well, I could say, and that's another thing. Let's say the team in London makes the playoffs as an 8 seed, and they're on the road the whole postseason. Would you go back to London to practice and then come back to the United States?
Even worse. What if they get a home game? You mean to tell me that a team's current U.S. NFL team is going to be happy
Neil out there
going to London to play a playoff game? No.
No, nobody's going to be happy. Send Neil out to cover it. He'll do it.
You're trying to win a Super Bowl, and the first thing you have to do is go to London. You're not winning a Super Bowl. I agree. Even if you win that game, you're going to come back and
going back to my point, if the London team was the number 8 seed, what do? Let's say they make it all the way to the championship game. What do you play in the United States, practice in London, and come back? That's crap. I like the publicity we're giving London, but I don't want a team out there. That's just the bottom line.
They still have the capability of watching all teams, and they get a game. They get a couple games a year. So.
Yep. You get a couple games a year, and nobody really gets hurt about it. You lose a home game, big deal. All right, if your fans are loyal, and a lot of them are, they fly out to go see it. A lot of fans will do that. You would fly out?
I would, yeah. To also, you get more than just a game, get to see a new area. So.
That's very true. So
I'd check out London, catch a NFL football game.
How is London, dude?
It's great. It's great. I really don't have.
And how long did you spend there? What was it, January to May
or
something?
It was like 5.5 months.
Oh, so you studied abroad over there?
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
And I got to travel elsewhere as well. But yeah, England is wonderful. London's great.
Speaking of that, let's get to this now. We can go to a break first. When we come back, we'll discuss the U.S. Women's World Cup victory. And there was a stat on GMA yesterday that you guys are going to want to hear. 14 minutes past 2 o'clock hour. Number to call, 973-655-4256. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange on SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC. Back after this. 20 minutes past the 2 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange in the studio. So, women's United States team representing America, big time.
USA.
What a way to end the 4th of July weekend with a World Cup victory. Now, did I expect us to beat Japan? Yes. But the way we beat Japan was incredible.
Absolutely. Getting that first goal in the first couple of minutes by Carly Lloyd was a great start. The USA has struggled to score this whole tournament, so you get the early lead against the Japanese team that can also score, so they're going to have to, their first goal is only going to tie you. It's a good feeling to have, but they came out, not being satisfied with that first goal. Lloyd scores again, and then they make it 3-0, 4-0. 4-1.
Just poor defense, really.
Yeah,
poor defense by Japan.
I mean,
and you know what? The first 2 minutes, Japan came out aggressive. Maybe a little too aggressive because the first goal, Carly Lloyd, it was almost like an RKO out of nowhere. She came out of nowhere and kicked that ball right in. And now her fourth goal, 56-yarder into the net.
Yeah, that was just sad.
Let's paint the picture here. Dan Bailey had a great year last year for Dallas. But will he have another great year? I say we get Carly Lloyd in the amateur draft. Give her a shot. And maybe she can help us win in Green Bay next year. I don't know, man. 56 yards. It's almost like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah. She needs to kick it a little bit more up. But
hey, dude, when I saw her kick it, I was like, what is she doing? And then it was almost like Chris Berman. Back.
Oh.
Off the hand, into the net. I'm like, there's no way.
What was the goalie doing?
She was just too far up.
She was too far up.
A lot of goalies get caught up for whatever
reason.
Of
goalies get caught up thinking, okay, it's a breakaway. Let me back up. They don't expect the goal or they don't expect one of the attackers.
But there really is no advantage to being that far up. I mean, the ball could get played back to you, but I don't. The benefits of it are not nearly outweighing the giving up a goal.
The goalie didn't expect Carly Lloyd to kick the ball 56 yards up. I didn't expect it.
Well, to even be far enough up to give Lloyd the idea to do that, she wouldn't even try that if it wasn't.
No.
If she didn't think it had a chance of going in.
The goalie, I think, was as far up to the point where she couldn't use her hands if the ball had stopped in front of her.
Yeah.
I think she was past the line. So Carly Lloyd saw the opportunity. She's like, screw it. We're already up 3-0.
Tipped it over her head.
We're already up 3-0. She wouldn't have done that if it was a 1-0 or 2-0 game. 3-0. She's like, let's have a little fun.
You try it if it's 1-0. If you think it's gonna go in, you don't. It unless you actually think it's going in.
I mean, you know what? Play risks in the final. I like it. That's how teams win. That's also how teams could, lose.
Yeah.
At one point, at the end of the first half, the U.S. went silent and Japan scored a few times. The U.S. did not look great at the end of the first half. Came back in the second half and just took the game away.
Absolutely.
Great day to be an American.
American.
But here's the stat that I saw in GMA yesterday. The United States men's team lost in the round of 16, I believe, to Belgium. Each player got $9 million for basically surviving the group stage, group of death, and then losing in the first round. What was it? Germany wins the World Cup, $35 million a person. United States women's team wins the World Cup, $2 million a person. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's really, those numbers say it all as to, how unfair that is.
Our women deserve a little more money. I'm sure they really don't care.
Most of them are from New Jersey.
Yeah.
The core group of players is from New Jersey. So
a lot of great soccer here in New Jersey.
I mean, I don't want to start any, I don't want to be called a sexist. But this has always been my argument with women's sports as well, and other sports besides, with colleges paying their athletes now. I think, in my mind, it should just be basketball and football. And to me, it's what sports make you the most money. And to me, the men's, probably not in our country, but worldwide, the men's get better viewership and ratings than the women's World Cup does. And so I have no issue with the way the money is divided between the Women's World Cup as opposed to the Men's World Cup.
I think it's just the way that they won the whole thing. They should have got a little bit more money.
They're still representing our country, just as much as the men are. It's just to me, I've always been someone that's looked at first, because there are some sports that are just men's, just women's. But for me, whenever there's a sport that both genders can play, I've always looked at it as really not too much different. I just I follow both sides of it, and so to have this much of a disparity between two teams representing the same country playing the same game, and one winning the thing and one just getting out of the group, and still having that disparity really is just shocking.
Now, did I think FIFA was going to pay the United States women's team $20 million each for winning the World Cup? No. I expected a good maybe $7 to $10 million.
Yeah, $10 million's about right.
I didn't expect $2. That's low. for winning a
But-
World Cup. I'm sorry.
I mean, the Men's World Cup.
They're still millionaires, but still.
Men's World Cup in 2014 generated $520 million in comparison to the Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
Which is, let's see, 17 million it generated.
Now,
So how do you say that's 500 million more?
no, and I'm not saying that. I obviously knew there was a very big difference, but I didn't expect a $33 million difference for the winner. That's what threw me off guard. I expected the women to maybe have, like I said, 7 to 10 million, not 2 million. I didn't expect a $33 million difference.
But
do they
if
sort
you're
it by
talking
player, or is it
sponsorship,
just one number and then they divide it up? Like when they paid a team, is it?
I think it's one number divided up. But if you're taking, like I said, the Women's World Cup generated upwards of 17 million from World Cup sponsored content this year in 2015. And then which is 3 times the amount that it made in 2011. So it's on the rise. But this number compared to 529 million by the Men's World Cup in 2014.
Yeah.
How do you compare that? There's no issue in my mind. It's like saying that the guys in the NBA should be paid as much as the guys in the NBA D League, I think.
No, I definitely agree with that statement. It's just, again, it's all about the whole money situation threw me off guard. Now, don't get me wrong. The United States is welcoming their team back with open arms. Mm-hmm. It is now official that New York is going to hold a parade on Friday.
The parade's being Jersey.
Really?
Yep.
I was
on
board that
It'll be the first time New York celebrates a women's team championship.
Yeah.
First time.
Really?
I don't even think it's should have been a question.
I think it should have been in New Jersey.
Yeah, I think it should be in New Jersey, but I saw the
it's
question
going to be
pop
all.
up.
They were in LA yesterday. I think this is going to be a whole country thing.
Yeah.
I think the whole country is going to get in on
That's
on
awesome.
this.
So when is it? Thursday? So?
They were in LA yesterday. They'll be in New York Friday. So
Are we going? We going as a radio station?
I'll go.
What am I doing Friday?
I'm working. I can't go. But.
No, I have to help.
If someone drives, I'll go.
I have to help set up for my sister's my sister's graduation party the next day.
You and these graduations.
I know.
Graduation every day.
You got to come up with a new excuse. It's getting old.
Are you kidding me, James?
It is getting a little old. I don't want to hear about a
I
graduation.
almost die on the air from being sick. You got to come up with a new excuse, man. That's just awful. Real radio hosts don't get sick on the air. Really? Real radio hosts
There's no
are
crying
immortal?
and dying in SMC Sports.
There is no dying. That's why I left early.
Yeah, accurate.
So, but no, I do like the fact that the women's team is being honored, rightfully so. Because I watched a documentary at work on Sunday because, for whatever reason, the rec decided to be open the day after 4th of July and nobody was there. So I was watching the documentary of the 99 team. When they won their first cup in 91, the fan base was so awful. 3 fans greeted them at the airport. One of them was their bus driver.
Or 2.
99, the U.S. hosts the World Cup, and the U.S. obviously wins the World Cup, generates a lot more. This year, women win the World Cup, and the fan base has just been taken out by storm.
It has.
L.A. is hosting a party. New York is hosting a party Friday. And this could be, a whole country tour for this. It might look like the Hunger Games, like the winning tour. Almost like for all that, And, great for the girls. They had a great World Cup. Yeah, they had games where they struggled, a lot of them. But in the World Cup, man, when they played Japan in the rematch of 2011 and they needed to perform,
yeah.
They did.
And it's one of the reasons I've always loved World Cups, and soccer's a sport I really enjoy. Just don't get to follow too much because it's just a lot to get caught up in as far as a lot of people follow Premier League and Overseas League and C leagues, and it's just I never had the time to really follow all that. But as far as World Cups, it's fun because we spend most of our time on these shows and as sports fans following teams that we like for varying reasons. It's just kind of I grew up in this area, or my parents was this team. It's really no specific reasons for these teams, and we just argue about them and have rivalries based on these teams. But the one team we can all agree on is the USA team because they're just these teams are representative of countries. They're not representing any kind of league or sub-leagues. It's just countries going at it, and that's what I've always loved about the World Cup. It's fun to support a USA team, and now we have one that was able to bring home a championship.
It's very unfortunate, though, for I would say a lot of the fan base in the United States who can't get into soccer once the U.S. is out of the World Cup.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
and that's
But
a true
I
statement.
think
In the
that's
Women's
starting
World
to
Cup, it's
swing.
hard to follow, but
I think that's starting to change a bit.
a bit, not a lot. It's
think
going to take a
people are-
long time before it changes.
I think the MLS is starting to rise. I think 10 years from now, we're going to be talking about the MLS as a big league.
as like a regular like topic on a show.
I think so, yeah. Absolutely.
There's potential, yes, because you know what? A lot of these.
I've heard that like I wouldn't be able to speak too much to this, but I've heard that the quality of soccer in the MLS, like from what I've seen, it seems true. Actually, isn't that good. So that's something they need.
Well, a lot of the
I
European
disagree
guys are
with
coming
you.
over now too.
And they're coming over younger and younger. So
Yes.
instead of getting 37-year-old Lampards all the time, we're getting 27-year-old
It's almost like
Giovincos.
look at the rosters of the MLB All-Star game this year. A lot of these guys are 25 or younger.
Yeah.
It is a young and potentially great All-Star game that we're going to see next week.
Yeah. And I think you're going to start seeing that more and
Agreed.
more in the MLS.
You know what? 10 years, it has potential. I can't see it because based off the fan base of what soccer is in this country. But it has potential.
And as the U.S. team continues to rise, the men's team, they should have been in the round of 8 last year. If Wondolowski doesn't miss that goal. And I think a lot of those guys are staying as opposed to going. Where Dempsey came back to play for the Sounders, and a lot of the big-name U.S. guys are staying in the MLS. I think Jurgen Klinsmann's doing great things for soccer
I like Klinsmann.
in the United States.
You know, the thing is, and if the U.S. had made the round of 8, I thought they had potential to go to the Final Four. Possibly against Colombia or
absolutely agree with
Brazil,
you, yeah.
or possibly Germany again, if that was even possible. I don't know how the bracket
I don't remember.
was filled. But if they had beaten Belgium, they had a chance to go to the Final Four.
We should have beat Belgium.
We should have.
It was a
But you
shame.
know what? This U.S. men's team is only getting better. Now, I didn't
They
watch
won yesterday. in
They
the-
did win yesterday,
Yep,
right?
2-0.
Now, what's their overall record in opening rounds in the Gold Cup?
I don't know what the win total is, but they haven't lost. They're undefeated.
Okay, that's right. Juan tweeted it last night.
20
Juan was in charge of
something
the Twitter.
wins and no losses.
Yeah, and we're the defending champs in the Gold Cup too. So this U.S. men's team is only getting better. So, and of course the U.S. women's team's gonna have a target on their back in
I believe.
2019.
Yeah.
It's so I feel honored as an American that after 2 years we finally got to change the hashtag.
Yeah.
I believe that we
We
just
just
won.
won.
I love it. Proud to be an American. It was a great ending to a 4th of July weekend.
Proud to be a New Jersey native. Is,
yes.
The only issue, and I don't know, this might be too much of a topic to talk about, but the only issue that I had with the Women's World Cup was that Hope Solo was on that team. And I don't think
Yeah.
she should have been on that team. And I think if you're looking at a men's sport, if it was Jeremy Stevens, her husband, playing in the NFL, and he's, the abuser in that family, I think you're looking at outcry that he's even there.
I actually
And
agree.
So I don't think that Hope Solo should have been with that team, which taints it in a way.
You know,
I agree.
you know
And
what?
It makes it so much worse because she's not just representing one team in a league of 32 at the NFL.
Yeah.
She's representing our country.
She's representing the country.
She's wearing the USA emblem on her chest.
I can
with what
agree
she's
with
done.
that, but you have to admit, based on how she played, she was a big component in that championship win.
Oh yeah, because she's a great goalie.
She's
but,
a
you know,
phenomenal
and
goalie.
that's the reason we're not up in arms about it. If she let in 8 goals against Japan and she did what she did, it would've
Without
been-
her against Germany or Japan, we may be talking about something completely different.
Definitely. I totally
If you
agree.
contribute to your team, people forget about what you did off the field.
But
It's
is that
sad.
right? And I
It's
think
not,
you
but
have a
it's
lot
It's
of.
not right, but it's reality.
But you have a lot of activists that they're not going to be happy that Adrian Peterson's going to be back in the league, right?
Yeah, and then you're going to get equally as many Vikings and NFL fans. But we can't keep him out of the league because he's a great running back. Well,
But it was Adrian Peterson's punishment. I thought was so much. And obviously, I'm not condoling what he did, but compared to Ray Rice,
No, it was
really,
in reaction to Ray Rice.
I guess
It
in
was-
reaction, but compared to what Ray Rice did, compared to what Adrian Peterson did, I'm not condoling what AP did, but he disciplined his kid,
And
they're gonna punish him more.
and Ray Rice.
Ray Rice was reinstated before
didn't-
the season was
Exactly. Yeah, he was just a free agent. Nobody had him, but yeah.
over. AP was threatening retirement. That's how pissed he was at Minnesota and the NFL.
What's the resolve? I know he's at camp, but is he going to play for
He's
the
gonna
Vikings
play.
this year?
I
He
think
is
so.
gonna
He's gonna play. But it was one of those things where he just wanted to put it all aside. He wanted to play. He knew he wasn't getting traded.
Yeah.
And obviously he's still got a lot in him. I know he's going on 30. This is when we're going to start to see the decline of
But
AP,
at
I feel.
least he got his year off. So
Yeah.
you got to give him an extra year now because
And now while we're on that topic, that Florida State quarterback, my God.
what an idiot.
What's his name again?
Davy Johnson, is
Davy
it?
Johnson, yeah.
I'm not sure if it's Davey. That's the old Nationals manager.
We're just gonna say Johnson. I think that was his name.
Yeah, it was
now
Johnson.
again, I'm not condoning what he did or whatever, but remember back when Ray Rice hit his fiance, she got arrested too because she struck him. Was there any punishment on the girl in the barn? Because she threw the first punch. If you watch the video back, she threw the first punch. Again, I'm not condoning what he did. He knocked her out cold almost. I'm not condoning what he did, but at the end of the day, there should be discipline on both sides. Obviously, hers is going to be, nothing compared to what he's going to get.
Also, we wouldn't hear about it as much because she's not in the limelight as an athlete.
Yep.
Yes, and, he was dismissed from FSU. Was he expelled?
He's the first player ever to be dismissed from FSU.
He was expelled.
He was. I think so, yeah.
Because I heard dismissed, and then I heard he was off the team. I was unsure because I know he's not playing, but was he going to be expelled?
I think he got expelled, yeah.
It doesn't matter. Everett Golson's transferring. That saved their entire season.
Yeah.
I'm not saying national championship. I'm saying top 10.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable number to say.
It should be.
So we'll talk a lot more. We got NBA also to talk about as well. A lot more MLB when we get back from the break. Still waiting on Michael Cohen. We're not sure if he's going to call or not. Hopefully he does so we can talk some Jackals baseball with him. 973-655-4256 is the number to call. 37 minutes past the 2 o'clock hour. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange on SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC. Back after this. 44 minutes past the 2 o'clock hour, and you're listening to SMC Sports on 90.3 FM, WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange on with us. Now on the phone is Jack from Cranford. Jack, you're on SMC Sports. What's going on?
Hi, what's up with you?
Not much. We're all just hanging out here in the studio, talking a lot of sports. So you wanted to address the Yankees and what they would possibly do at the deadline. So go ahead.
I really hope the Yankees would have like a starting pitcher like Johnny Cueto or Scott Kazmir. I mean, with Andrew Miller and Jacoby Ellsbury coming back today, I mean, I feel like their other needs are addressed. They just need a solid starting pitcher to fix our rotation.
Now, is it Jack or Zach?
Zach.
Okay, Zach. So
Zach.
Do you want the Yankees then to give up one of their top prospects for a run at the postseason this year with a team that is old and probably on the decline? Or would you rather see them trade a guy like Beltran, trade a guy like maybe Ellsbury's massive contract, and try to get younger and try to build for the future?
I mean, if they could somehow get like maybe a rental starting pitcher, like someone like Scott Kazmir for maybe not one of those top prospects like Aaron Judge or Luis Servino, if they could somehow just get one of those rentals to just fix the rotation. I mean, the back end of the rotation has been awful this year.
It's I totally agree with you on how terrible it has been. I told you guys last week about Eovaldi, and Eovaldi's gone 5.1 innings, or 5 1/3 innings in each of his last 2 starts. But so you're not going to get Kazmir for cheap, because you're trading with Billy being there.
Well, I actually think one of the main problems in the rotation hasn't been the back end, but has been the consistency of the top 2 guys with Pineda and Tanaka. If those guys are going to be what we expect them to be every start, then it takes a little bit of pressure off that back end. But instead, you kind of get good starts from those 2 guys to set you off, and then other times you'll get a bad start from those guys. And when those guys are bad, the whole rotation is struggling. But if you have 2 solid guys that are going to be dependable every single start, then you're going to be in much better shape with the rotation. So that's been my biggest concern.
I'm thinking
I could agree with you, Sean. It's really all about the consistency of this Yankees rotation. If the consistency just comes up, and I've said it,
and
I
believe you have Nova trying to get back into the groove of things.
I believe the
he's
Yankees,
one of my favorite pitchers in all of baseball.
And you said it best, Sean, a few weeks ago. Unlike Toronto, Baltimore, and Tampa, who are all at full strength, Yankees aren't. When the Yankees are at full strength, I believe they will win this AL East.
And they're going to get, Zach, you said it with Ellsbury and Miller back today. That's like acquiring players at the deadline, because they were holding their own. They're in first place without them, and now they're getting them back.
I think if you're the Yankees, one of the more realistic pitching guys that you can get, I think, is Jeff Samardzija from the White Sox.
I like that.
I think
that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
He doesn't have the greatest stats the last couple of years, but I think he's a solid starter. You're not going to have to give up.
I think he could do it in New York, though. I think he might be one of those guys who's better off in the smaller.
Well, he played. He's played in Chicago for 7 of his 8 years.
Chicago's a big one, but you know what? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, Chicago's
all
not
sports.
New York. So.
But yeah, so Zach, you were saying possibly Cueto as well. I think you'd probably have to give up Aaron Judge if you want Johnny
you
Cueto.
would probably have to give up a top prospect, but I mean they could even, I guess maybe not this season, but even if they haven't been big spenders past. Not well, 2 off seasons ago they were, but this off season I would thought they'd spend a little more, maybe gone after Scherzer. But I mean, if this doesn't work out with the rotation, they should probably take a run at Cueto next off season.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the Reds will be open to giving him up this season. Now, when he's a free agent, definitely a good possibility. But the way Cueto's been pitching lately, he's on the final vote for the All-Star team. Cincinnati's not having necessarily a great year, but they're still in somewhat talk of a wild card. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but they are still in contention for a spot. You need your guy Cueto in that starting rotation.
Now, my problem with making a run at Cueto in the offseason, I think the Yankees have the right idea to spend less.
Yes.
And look more at their prospects. And Cueto, he's not young. He's going to be 30 next year. He's really good. He's got a probably sub 2 ERA since 2010. So you're looking at 125 million over the span of probably maybe more. If you had to give him an 8 to 10 year contract, you're probably looking at 200 million. And I think the Yankees need to get away from giving guys those contracts.
I absolutely agree. I've been one of the biggest advocates for getting the right guys, not just the guys we have to pay a ton for, and also holding on to our prospects with the 2 guys we've just talked about, Judge and Severino. I do not want to see those guys go. We've given up tons of prospects, and you look at where they're at now. Yeah, some of them haven't worked out, but there have been ones that are showing signs of being pretty good players. So, it's time to hold on to our prospects, especially Judge and Severino, because everything I've heard about these guys is that they're going to be superstar caliber players. So we have to hold on to these guys, see them sometime soon in a Yankee uniform, and trust that the pitching the rest of the way is going to be adequate enough, especially with Tanaka and Pineda at the top, like I said, being the key to it all, and Nova getting back in the swing of things. And I'm not ready to give up on Eovaldi just yet.
Now here's my thing, Sean. The way the Yankees are playing right now, yes, there's a little bit of inconsistency.
Are we keeping Zach on the line, by the way?
Yeah, Zach's still here. Zach wants to chime in. But now, Zach, my thing is, do you really need necessarily, to make a move? Like, you're not really the Mets right now who need a bat in the lineup desperately. Do you really necessarily need to make a move in the rotation to make a run for the AL East? Because I personally don't think you have to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we really don't have to. I mean, you could even bring up somebody like Servino and just give him a shot. Like, if the starters end up being that bad, I mean, even you still have Warren in the bullpen too, and with Miller coming back, that gives us a little more room in that bullpen. So, I mean, Warren did great at the start of this year, so you could bring him back. They have a lot more options.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to see one of those big names. That's like all Yankee fans, though. So
I want to ask you this, Zach. Why is CC Sabathia still in the Yankees starting rotation?
Because they're paying him too much.
They're paying him too much.
They're marching out a guy that cannot win a game. No. You're a guaranteed loss.
He's worse than John Neese.
We haven't given him any run support, really.
I don't care. He's been terrible.
Listen, you can't give up 5 runs a game and expect to win.
Exactly.
He's been terrible.
The problem with him is he can't keep his mistakes in the ballpark. He misses a location. It's not just a base hit and then you go get the next guy. He misses a spot. The ball goes 500 feet and it's the runs are immediately going on the
Sean,
by the time
that's what I don't like about
you
him.
can't blame run support when he's giving up 5-6 runs a game.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna relate this to the Mets because I'm just gonna keep doing that. When they give 1, 2, maybe 3 runs up a game, then you could blame the run support that there is none. But when you look at this Yankees team who CC gives up 5 or 6 runs every start, you can't blame the run support.
Yeah, but he gives up 5, and you look at the final score, it's 5-0 or 5-1. You say we could have had Tanaka throwing a no-hitter through 8, and it wouldn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But here's my other issue
Tex
with
could
CC.
go 3 for 4. You still lose 5-3.
CC's been great the first 2 times through the lineup. He's been great the first 2. Once he hits the 3rd time, that's when everything goes to hell. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't
that's the problem for Eovaldi, which is why I took him out early last night and it didn't work.
I mean,
I agree. I think you switch him and Warren right now.
I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, I understand where the Yankees are coming from, and Zach, you could probably see this too. it's almost like a respect thing. You're paying him the last few years of his contract. He's getting a lot of money, and it's almost a respect thing to keep him in the starting rotation. But at the end of the day, Yankees have an AL East to win, an AL East they can certainly win. Something's got to happen, and I agree with you, James. Switch him with Warren right now. It's time for a change. It's not about respect anymore. They will always respect CC Sabathia. It will always be one. He was literally that corner piece of that 2009 World Championship, one of. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you can't reward a guy based on past accomplishments. You have to win now, and CC's not getting it done. So put him in the bullpen.
Absolutely,
yep.
Absolutely agree.
All right, okay. Zach, I appreciate you for coming on and giving us your analysts. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Zach.
No problem.
So, a lot of great Yankee talk right there. And then I do agree, something's got to happen with the bullpen. Adam Warren going to the bullpen wasn't a big deal, but, respect is only going to take you so far with CC because CC's not winning. So, and Sean, you could say this too. Like, there needs to be a change.
CC starts tonight, so we'll see.
And what's his record going into tonight?
Let me check. Let me get that for you.
By the way, is Betances? Are we seeing Betances
like 2
now?
and 5 or something.
No, I think CC has 10 because he leads the league in losses. He has the worst ERA in the league. I mean, is Betances a career setup guy? By the way,
it seems to be.
I think so.
He wasn't able to be a starter. He didn't have the mental makeup to be a starter.
He's 3-what?
3-8, 5-5.
He's worse than John Neese because
terrible.
At least John Neese gives up 2 or 3 runs a game before he loses.
It's terrible.
John Neese actually won his first start since May 9th on Monday.
Oh, wow.
May 9th. Now, half those starts was on him, but the other half I feel was no run support because, honestly, he's pitching to be traded. Yeah. He's pitching to get out at this point. And Dylan G's done, too. It was another thing I love to watch Boomer and Carton at work. I love to. They were on vacation, so Kim Jones was on. And somebody called in saying, so I was watching a new rookie pitcher who came in wearing Dylan G's number. Right there, that's it. Dylan G's gone.
Yep.
It's only a matter of time who's going to trade for him.
Wasn't he designated for assignment, Dylan G?
Yeah, but he's in AAA now.
Did he accept it? Yeah, okay.
So he's in AAA now, and a rookie came up wearing number 35. That's it. It's over.
Down goes G.
It's only now a matter of time. He'll probably be gone before August 1st.
Yeah, incredible. Every fan wanted him out.
He'll be out before August 1st, and August 25th he'll throw a no-hitter at Citi Field. That's bound to happen.
See, I actually, I kind of feel somewhat the same way about Sabathia. If he wasn't making his contract is what's hurting him. Because I actually do think there's a trade market out there for him if you put him in a big ballpark with a team with good defense. Because he's a fly ball pitcher.
You want to know a great ballpark for him to pitch in? Miami.
Yeah,
he'd be a great.
I was thinking Minnesota.
Okay, that works too. Minnesota, Miami, and Minnesota's a contender this year too. He would, He would be a great, not a number 1 starter anymore, but maybe 3, 4, 5.
He's a fly ball guy, and fly ball guys don't work with the Yankees. Phil Hughes left, and now he's good with the Twins. And
yep, I've noticed Miami has a huge ballpark.
Yeah, Miami, Stanton's the only one that can hit the ball out.
They built that place for Stanton. It was like, try me.
Yeah,
and he's like, okay.
Stanton makes it look small.
He makes every ballpark look small. I'm so sad that he's not going to be in the home run derby this year.
Yeah, I need to watch
a lot of prime guys are taking themselves out because of these new rules.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of excited to see the young guys get their swings, but
yeah,
who is in it besides Pujols?
Harper backed out, as far as I know. I don't know how.
Stanton's obviously hurt.
Stanton's hurt. A lot of these guys don't want to be in it because of this new time limit thing. They like taking their time. Well, I heard Harper pulled out because his father just had surgery.
Yeah.
He wants his father to pitch to him. Acceptable, but. These new rules, I wouldn't be comfortable with, being on a time limit either. Now, every home run, you get more time added on. But it's still 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you don't hit a home run in 5 minutes, you're done.
Yeah.
So, I guess it could kind of be like the same thing as 10 outs almost, but you're still on a time limit. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
What did you just drop?
My phone.
Oh, I thought it was his laptop.
It's like the 5th time I've dropped his phone.
I was looking here. Zach got me all thinking now about trades and stuff. I was looking at guys that might be dealt at the deadline, and Starlin Castro on the Cubs is up for sale. And I mean, I don't know if the Yankees could really get him cheap because Theo's
He's
over
shortstop,
there.
right?
Yeah.
I know the Mets want him, too. They
But-
want him
He's
bad.
had a bad year, and Didi has been a lot better. So
Man.
I
But to
think
get
we need-
Castro, you could say goodbye to DeGrom or Syndergaard if he goes to New York.
Exactly. That's the problem.
You know what? Sandy Alderson, I feel, is doing what he needs to do to protect the pitching, because you look at everybody really
Which is
besides
smart, which I agree with.
I agree with, too. You know what? I would much rather go after Ian Desmond in the offseason. He's not a big bat, but he's a consistent bat. Everybody besides really Matt Harvey and DeGrom, everybody's trade bait on that starting rotation. Nobody wants to go. And you know what? Maybe DeGrom is trade bait as well.
Now, if I said to you right now, and you're, Sandy Alderson, I'll give you Troy Tulowitzki if you give me Noah Syndergaard. Would you do it?
That's tough. Because you know what? That offer's been on the table multiple times this whole year.
If I'm the GM, I don't do it. But if realistically, I'm just talking about if the Mets are going to do it, I would think the Mets would probably.
I do that in a heartbeat. I do. I love Tulowitzki.
Yeah,
I know he's
great.
often hurt, but I do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's one
I
of.
just hate giving up the pitching, man. It's
But you see, again, that is the one reason why the Mets didn't go after Ian Desmond and trade for him in the offseason, because I think it was Washington who wanted Syndergaard, and they weren't going to give him.
I wouldn't give up Syndergaard for
The
Desmond,
Mets need to realize, and you know what? And I think Bartolo Colon's going to be a free agent now that I look at it too. I think he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I don't see him re-signing.
probably not.
And then I would assume Neese and G will be gone by then. Harvey, DeGrom, Wheeler, Syndergaard, Matz. That is the best pitching rotation of young guys I've seen in a long time.
Oh yeah.
That is going to be a pitching rotation with
throw in Montero as well.
Not even necessarily the right amount of offense, but the right amount of defense, because the Mets' defense has been almost as anemic as the offense.
Yeah,
That's a
If you're
playoff
going to be a
team.
team built on pitching, got to do it right. You can't just say,
Oh,
you know,
agreed.
we're a team built on pitching that can't, that can only pitch. No, you got to start. You got to be committed to this full time. And
Yeah,
I'm not looking for
you know.
9 guys who are all going to hit 40 home runs in a season. I'm looking for 9 guys who are going to be consistent at the plate.
But with the Giants, you
Get
had
on base
Sandoval.
and
you
the
Get
had
on
Posey.
base,
play defense.
play the right amount of small ball, win the right amount of games, win the big games you need to win.
Absolutely. You guys are kind of caught in between with, we want to be this awesome hitting team with this awesome pitching staff. Well, that's probably not going to happen.
You know what, Sean? You last week kind of called me back to reality. I'm back to a 500 team at this point.
Thank you.
I'm back to a 500 team. Now, the way the Mets have played out West, they lost last night, so worst case scenario, they're going to split the West series. I will take that.
Yeah, West Coast trips are always tough.
West Coast trips are tough for any team. It's just tough to play there.
Yeah, the Yankees are never good out there.
No, and then you get Arizona for 3 games, which I would hopefully assume, and Arizona's a great team for a team who's under 500 right now. They could take that series. That's the momentum you want going into the All-Star break. As we at the top of the 3 o'clock hour on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey, SMC Sports. We're talking a lot of Mets and Yankees, but the Mets need momentum after the All-Star break. You have 4 against St. Louis on the road, 3 against Washington on the road, and then 3 against LA at home. The Mets could potentially be a good 5 or 6 under 500 2 weeks after the All-Star break.
If I'm the Mets, I trade now. This isn't.
Do you trade one of the young guns, though?
I trade one of the young guns for a bat, and I trade Bartolo. I trade Neese if you can.
Bartolo and Neese I would ship tonight.
I trade Kadire.
Kadire I would ship too. Kadire was brought in to complement David Wright. Where has David Wright been?
The other day they had Wilmer Flores batting 4th. They had Mayberry batting 4th. It's a
What a
terrible
lineup.
Terrible.
All the pitchers except Corona batting 8th now. It's just sad.
It is sad. It's sad.
You know what? I like that
yeah,
strategy.
it's not a strategy of have an extra leadoff guy. It's a strategy of my pitcher's actually the better hitter.
Well, at the same time, though, if
sad.
Lagares starts to get hot, he'll stay at 9 because he could be a second leadoff guy.
Yeah.
But the way the strategy is right now, is Lagares isn't hitting the broad side of a barn, and everybody besides, Colon's hitting too, but Colon also could never hit a triple for his life.
Exactly.
He could hit a gapper in Marlins Park and he'd be at first base.
If Cologne hits a triple, the MLB is going to explode. So.
If Cologne hit a triple, Mets won the World Series. That would be my season. That would be good
If
enough for me.
Cologne hits a triple, they should present end the season, present the World Series trophy to the Mets.
Exactly. So we're going to take a quick break here on SMC Sports. We're still waiting on Michael Cohen, see if he's going to call. We're still waiting for him. So hopefully we'll get him in the next hour because we do have plans to turn that into a feature. If we don't get him, maybe we'll get him next week. Talk to him a little bit about that if he doesn't call. We'll talk a lot more All-Star game, a lot more Mets, a lot more Yankees. We'll probably dedicate this last hour strictly to baseball unless we get off topic, which is a good 98% chance of happening.
99.97%.
99.9994% of happening.
With a 2 at the end.
So, and this is going to make Sean laugh. 2 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour. On SMC Sports, Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, and James Creange.
We've talked about 4 seconds of baseball.
We talked a lot of baseball today.
Yeah.
We started off the show with baseball. We're ending the show with baseball.
Have we even gone NBA free agency?
No, we'll get into that a little bit. There's not really much to get into considering contracts can't be signed until tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we did that last week. We went for the big names.
Yeah, we really much did. Right now, we can kind of just review what happened. So, Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange on SMC Sports. 973-655-4256 is the number to call. 90.3 WMSC. Back after this. All right, 6 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour here on SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange. I'm 8 for 8 today.
Oh,
Nice.
It's great, man. It
Like
feels
I said,
good. You're the only person
with
who's ever
that
said it
average
right.
When you know how to spell it, my name can be tricky too, but when you know how to spell it, you can sound it out, blah, blah, blah. There you go. So, a lot of Mets and Yankees we just discussed. Jackals had a big win today, a close win that shouldn't have been really that close.
Rockland's a good team, man.
Rockland's a great team. Honestly, if we had to predict right now, New Jersey, Rockland in the finals again.
Well, that was a rematch. Would be a rematch.
Would be a rematch, yep. Because you know what? The Jackals had an awful start to the year. 1-6 in their first 7. Then went on an 11-10 game winning streak. And now I think they're 24-17.
Yeah,
and
consistency or something.
And with their win against Rockland, now they're only a game and a half back.
Yeah. Let me check out the Can-Am standings.
I had them up before.
I've got them up right here. We've got the Rockland Boulders at 26-16. This is before the game today. So I guess they're 26-17 with now a half-game lead on the Jackals at 25-17 with Quebec in 3rd place. Oh, so there's 8 teams now. I thought there was.
Yeah, they always expand into teams.
Why have the Garden State Grays only played 9 games?
Because they started actually with the Jackals. Their opening day was late June.
Okay.
Which was very weird.
The league is all kinds of weird. With
and
teams coming in and out.
And then of course Shikaku Island.
That was the
Japanese all-star team. Why were they in our league if they only came over here once?
Well, they still show up in the standings. The official Can-Am League site isn't even updated. The standings only shows 4 teams, and it has the Jackals record of 6-3.
Oh my God! Are you on the right thing?
Can I see what you're on, James?
I don't even think you're on.
I'm on the Can-Am League. I'm on pointstreak.com.
Yeah, I think you're on the wrong site,
I'm on
Sean.
A different. It's still Can-Am.
Oh yeah.
Thing.
You are most definitely on the wrong side.
That's definitely the playoffs one because they only have the 4 teams.
Yeah, but if you need stats, go on Point Streak. They're usually accurate. So now that we talk about a little bit of Mets and Yankees, now the Mets have a lot of trade scenarios going into the deadline. The deadline is only about 3 weeks away. Do the Yankees really need a trade to win this AL East? Me personally, I don't think they do.
I don't think so. I think part of the commotion with it is, it's always exciting when your team gets a new player. It's a fresh face. You get to watch someone new after watching the same lineups, every day. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but everyone just likes getting that new player, and especially with Yankees fans, they've come accustomed to getting a new player pretty much every year. It doesn't have to be a big name. It could be a guy like Garrett Jones, but every
how excited I was when the Mets signed Michael Kadire last winter?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a big
name. I was like
name.
World Series. No, I wasn't like World Series, but
jump off.
I was like consistent player, hit behind David Wright. David Wright played 4 games. You played 4 games.
I think you guys have too much faith in the Yankees. I don't see them as a lock for the.
I'm not saying a lock. I'm saying my prediction is they're going to win.
Yeah, nobody in this division.
I'm not saying they're a lock though. Nobody in this division is a lock. Anybody can take it.
I still think the Red Sox.
Boston's
are probably my pick for the division.
You think they're going to take it?
I really do.
I think they're going to come storming back after the All-Star break, but I think they dug themselves too deep.
They're only 5 games out.
They're going to need a change in leadership to do that because this ship is sinking. They're going to need a change in leadership.
Yeah, I don't think they can be consistent enough in the second half.
Sandoval's got to stop liking pictures in Atlanta while your team's losing.
Yeah.
Hanley Ramirez needs to learn how to play shortstop. Again, this team needs to come together. This team, don't get me wrong, my prediction to win the American League was the Boston Red Sox at the beginning of the year because of the way this team was built. I thought the pitching was at the right point. I thought their last place year was just them with a lot of injuries and everybody back at full strength. They'd be fine. Now they're in last place again, only 5 back. They're not the worst team in baseball by any means.
I would not be surprised if the Yankees finish 4th in this division.
I wouldn't be surprised. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised either. I'm going to stick with my pick for the Yankees to win the AL East, but it's still wide open.
They're marching out Eovaldi every 5 days. They're marching out Sabathia every 5 days. Nova every 5 days.
Nova's great. I like
Garrett Jones every day. Gregorius every day. Steven Drew every day.
Speaking of the pitching rotations, for a minute, the 6-man rotation in the Mets, everybody's complaining about it. More on so Harvey is complaining, oh, man, I'm not doing great because I'm on an extra day. Terry Collins finally just addressed it and said, get over it.
Right.
I'm like, it's about time that the Wilpons or the Coupons and Sandy Alderson finally stopped telling you what to do when you finally took your own gut. It's about time. The Mets need a manager who is just going to tell the Wilpons and Sandy Alderson to be like, I'm running the team the way I want to run it, and you know what? You're going to sign the guys that we want you to sign. That's it. That's what it's meant for.
Actually get done.
Everybody knows that the Wilpons are pulling the strings up there. Everybody knows it. That's why I like what you said about Joe Girardi the other night. Joe Girardi is a manager in his own right.
Oh yeah.
He does what he wants
one of the best
when he
in
wants.
baseball, I think.
He does what he wants when he wants, and he doesn't care about who thinks what.
Yeah, Girardi is a fantastic manager. He understands the way his team is kind of built every year. He understands the strengths and weaknesses of what he has to do and how to approach the season. He never lets his team get too down, especially in the New York market. That's important. I think that's something that Colin struggles with. When this team is struggling and all the fans are outraged, he doesn't really say anything to douse the fire. He just kind of keeps his monotone thing, which is good at times. You don't want a manager for a struggling New York team to always be losing his head after a 3-game losing streak. But at times when it gets out of hand, which hasn't happened to the Yankees much, but when it gets out of hand, at some point you do need the manager to be up there screaming and saying something that's going to turn him around, which Girardi has done when he's needed to.
But Girardi is also going to run Betances' career into the ground by throwing him 2 innings every night.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
that's how Miller went on the DL too.
Well, Miller's coming back, so now it's not going to be.
I think it's good. Like I mentioned before, I don't think Betances is cut out to be a closer. Wasn't cut out to be a starting pitcher. I think he's good in the 8th inning slot.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Betances Miller combo we saw when we were at the ballpark for the Subway Series is just overpowering.
That was fun. Despite the Mets losing, that was a lot of fun.
That was very fun.
I was at the McCann game the other night.
Yeah,
which was a lot of fun.
Well, where he hit the 450-foot home run.
To win it.
I can honestly say that's one of the best baseball games I've ever watched.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, you got the Teixeira home run to tie it. You got the Yankees giving up a couple of runs.
He was tweeting me back and forth about it. I go, dude, I don't care. I'm like, just stop.
Let's go Yankees.
I'm like, I know the Mets lost tonight. Get over it. Actually, no, they won that night. They barely beat LA that night. Yeah. They should have swept LA. Come on. That game on the 4th of July, they should have won. They rallied back. Of course, Granderson struck out the end of the game. Best hitter, right?
That's like last night, the show with 2-on strikes out to end the game.
Oh my God! You should have seen Duda last night. Of course, 2-1 takes a curveball right in. I'm like, just get out.
The rest of the show could just be us complaining about unproductive players on our teams.
Okay, Lucas Dudas won. We'll go 15 minutes on that. Steven Drew will go another 15. That'll take us to about 15 and the show.
How is Steven Drew still in the starting lineup for the New York Yankees?
Him I would ship at the deadline.
For
what?
Hitting the
for
ball
a bag of baseballs?
Well, you can never have too many baseballs. I heard they run out of chips at the stadium.
Good, because they should have a surplus of chips because no one wants to pay $50 for the bag.
Hey, it's the official chip of the Yankees. What? Oh man, chips at the ballpark. Chips. I want chips now.
Yeah, now I want chips. Someone go to the vending machine.
We'll go into autoplay while we all go to get chips.
Quality radio.
Quality radio. Nah, we'll get chips later. So, but going back to that point, I agree. How is Steven Drew still on this team?
Well, I mean, the reason Girardi is given, take it or leave it kind of thing is he's saying he's hit the ball hard and hasn't had any results to show for it. And, which I can see to an extent. He's gotten robbed a couple of times in the recent series, with Oakland and back in L.A. I remember a ball that absolutely should have been a 2-run double that was caught by Trout. So he has hit the ball hard.
Good luck hitting the ball in the gap against Trout. Good luck.
But no,
that's
this one
I'm sorry, but that's a terrible excuse when a guy's batting if a guy's batting 270 and you're saying, well, that's the difference between him and 300. But this is the difference between 170 and 200 for Drew.
He's hit some big home runs for us, and we don't have anybody else. So.
He is a good fielder.
It's like Jordani Valdespin running into a few fastballs in 2012 as a pinch hitter.
That's going to be the story.
That's going to be his whole career. Yeah. But that's right, though. That's right, though.
But his problem was he couldn't field. Drew is a
he is a solid
Valdespin couldn't field at all.
We don't have a second baseman that can field.
But that's a thing. That's a thing, though. Drew ran into a few fastballs in this season so far. That's going to be his whole season.
If I'm the Yankees, I look at a guy like Aaron Hill. Who
if we could combine Jose Pirela and Steven Drew, it'd be the perfect second baseman.
Guys, we got to take a quick break here on SMC Sports. When we come back, we'll probably discuss a lot more baseball, a lot more ranting about our horrible players in our lineup. So mainly Duda and Drew. 16 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange on SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC, and we'll be back after this.
That's all.
This is Emily Autumn, and you are listening to WMSC 90.3.
18 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange, and now on the phone, he is the host of Speaking of Sports every Monday, 1 to 4 in the academic year. John Galletley, you're on SMC Sports. What's going on?
Hey, Sean. Just want to say happy birthday to you.
Thank you, John.
What's up, Sean Martin?
What's up, John?
And what's up, James Creange?
Yes.
By now.
I promise you, John, if you know how to spell his name, it'll be a lot easier to pronounce. I had that trouble last week.
I have no idea how to spell his name, so I'm just going by pronouncing.
How is it?
It's a pleasure to talk to you, John.
All right, so John, when we were on the break, you said you wanted to discuss a lot of the Yankee issues, so feel free.
Yeah, I just wanted to get in on your Yankees baseball talk since, first of all, Andrew Miller coming back today, I think this is basically a perfect time for it. You couldn't ask any better time considering Betances has blown his last 2 saves. And I think the bullpen arms are getting kind of tired because they're relying on the same 3 or 4 guys every time they have a chance to win and haven't really gotten a lot of long, productive starts from their starters.
I could definitely agree. And, Girardi is going with the main guys that he can trust, which is a valuable move. But at the same time, you're right. A lot of these arms are getting tired. And it's a matter of... Okay, weird.
Hello?
John, what's up? Okay, John's a little distracted right now, so when he comes back... But he's still here, but... he's right, though. A lot of these arms are tired, especially when CeCe can only go 4 innings a night.
I can't hear you, dude.
Oh, you can't hear me? All right, so John can't hear us, apparently. Much accurate. Hold on. John, we're going to hang up on you, all right? Sorry about that.
We can't hear you tell him that you're about to hang up on him.
So. Tell John to call back or John, call back, but turn off the radio when you call back. I think you'll be able to hear us better. But yeah, I agree with what John was saying. I think that this is the perfect time to get Miller back with Betances, not pitching great the last couple of times out.
Yeah, the Yankee, formula for winning has always been getting length out of your starters and then getting to the
which is impossible to do with the starters
the
they
length
have
hasn't
now.
been there, which is part of the reason the bullpen hasn't been as good, but also because we don't have Miller. But now you got
and
Miller
also
back.
because Girardi
Hopefully
only believes in pitching 2 guys, but Chasen Shreve has been big for the Yankees. I think this bullpen's been a lot better than people expected. If you remember at the start of the year,
it was the storyline at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knew Betances was going to be good, but there was a question about if he would take over for Miller because of ineffectiveness by the end of April, and then what were you going to get from these other guys? Shreve's been good, Wilson's been good, and then you've had a conglomeration of call-ups, which have been pretty good. Girardi has a love affair with Capuano, which I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Capuano.
It's incredible that guy is still in the league. But, I think you look at the bullpen, and if they do make the playoffs, they're set up for success with 4 lefties that Girardi feels confident going to.
They can get out right-handers as well. So.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to John's point, a lot of these arms are getting tired when these pitchers aren't, pitching all the way through. So I can completely understand it. When Miller coming back tonight, that should help. But, you look at this Yankees starting rotation, it's a good rotation, but Sean, you're right. There's no consistency.
Here's the plan for tonight. We're going to get 8 innings out of Sabathia. And then we're
is that right?
Miller.
Maybe against Oakland.
If you want to give up 15 runs, that's fine.
All right. Yeah. All right. Against Oakland,
10.
5 1/3.
5 1/3. That's
5
bold.
1/3. That's my
bold.
guess.
Well, give me his full line. We'll go a full line prediction.
What do you mean full line? Like what the score is going to be?
No, like hit. You don't have to give me hits.
Okay, 5 1/3.
Runs and walks.
5 1/3. He gives up. Because you know what? I'm gonna be bold and give him a good start today. 5 1/3. 3 runs. 6 hits.
I say 6 1/3. 6 runs. 10 hits. 2 walks.
Good
8
God.
strikeouts.
You've got no faith in Sabathia. I don't either. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt today. What are you going? 9 innings, 27 outs, no hits.
Perfect game.
No hits, no walks.
I'm gonna go 6 full innings, 3 runs, 7 hits.
All right. It's like
quality start.
Sean's going 9 innings, no hits.
9 innings, no walks, no hits, no errors. Perfect game.
It's a very accurate statement. But no.
Now, if he actually throws a perfect game, I'm gonna be like the one guy here. That'll be.
Now, can you see CC possibly being trade bait in the future?
If his contract wasn't so big.
He's got a big contract and he's a terrible pitcher.
If you get him in a big ballpark, he'll be good.
Yeah, I think did he pitch in Miami or Minnesota this year?
I don't think we've been to Minnesota this year.
No, but you were in Miami, so you were in Miami for those 2 games.
When guys are hitting 400 to 450-foot home runs off you, it does not matter what ballpark you're in.
This is also
City
true.
Field.
Or these home runs at Yankee Stadium that find the gap, so he lets up 5 doubles in a game instead of 5. What's the difference?
I don't know. I think there's a spot that he could have some success. He's not an ace anymore, as we know, but he can be better than other teams' 4 or 5 starters. He's not the worst 4 or 5 starter in the league.
No.
But no, what are people going to give up for a 4 or 5 starter? At the deadline, you trade
John
for
Neese.
John Neese, yeah.
John Neese.
Just
Dylan
swap
J.
them straight up.
Let's just swap pitches.
Neese for Sabathia. The weirdest trade
I'd
ever.
love to see him back in the National League. There's nothing better than watching him swing
hit,
a bat.
yeah.
Honestly, you know what? That's not a bad analytic standpoint if he were to go back to the National League. That might actually help him, especially if he goes back to a big park, like I would say maybe Miami. Milwaukee's pretty big. Not in a lot of spots, but
Milwaukee would welcome him back. Just to have a guy who can help you sell a couple tickets as the team isn't any good.
Yeah, when he went to Milwaukee in 08, he helped him win the wild card.
Yeah, so the fans there will remember that he was part of the last good team, and they'll still want to come see him pitch.
Yeah.
So,
what are you gonna do?
Watch CC have a good start tonight, hopefully.
You're hoping so much, aren't you?
Well, I mean, at least a start that gives us a chance to win the game. If the Yankees win, I'll be happy. So.
Well, you're a Yankee fan. You're entitled to be happy if the Yankees win. I'm hoping the Mets win tonight. My guess on this road trip was we would win 4 out of 6 when we started doing well. I thought we were going to lose 5 out of 6. But, the Mets played well in L.A. They're playing decent in San Francisco. They lost 3-0 last night. I believe, who's on the mound tonight? Cologne was on the mound last night. It's got to be Harvey.
Yeah.
It's got to be Harvey. My buddy Harvey. Now, let's do predictions for a minute, because you and I did our predictions on how the All-Star game was going to play out. Who starts for the American League pitching?
Ooh, there's too many options. There's way too many.
It all comes down to who's pitching this week and when.
Yeah, which I don't.
Sonny Gray pitched last night, I think, so he's got a shot to start the All-Star game.
I don't think Gray will start. Actually, I could see Gray starting to get the better guys in late. So
yeah,
I got to give it to Chris Sale. I think Chris Sale starts.
Well, again, it all depends on when he's going to pitch this week.
True.
I like Gray.
He pitched Sunday night or Monday night. One or the other.
If it was Sunday, so let's say 5, he might make it. If he pitched Sunday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, he pitched Friday, Sunday, Monday, I don't think so.
To throw 1 inning?
Oh, well, yeah.
It's not like the guys on the field now. I mean,
but at the same time, you don't want to break the pitcher's rotation. You don't want to break their 5-day cycle.
I think Gray starts. I think he's the perfect guy to just do those first
down to it.
1 or 2 innings and kind of get you started. You know, he's not overpowering, but he can get guys out, and then you get to the better first.
What about King Felix?
Felix is always a possibility to start.
We're going to see him at some point, but
everybody's going to play. That's bottom line. It's just who's going to start.
Not anymore, is it?
But the start a start isn't a real start.
If Jonathan Papelbon pitches, I'm going to jump off the roof. Look, we even talked about this before. If the game is so important, why does everybody have to have a representative?
I agree.
The only reason Familia is on the final vote right now is because the Phillies needed a representative in the All-Star game.
Why does everyone need a representative? And well, Papelbon's had an unbelievable year, but why does
on a terribly awful team?
But still, I mean, he has what, a 1.82 ERA, something like that.
I guess.
But why does everyone need a representative, and why do the fans vote him in? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think Papelbon was chosen actually, because a lot of these guys. I think only 5 players are chosen by the manager.
I think it's more. I think it's all the reserves.
No, it's not all the reserves. A lot of them are voted in, and a lot are chosen.
Oh, okay. So who do you think starts for the National League?
The National League, I could totally see it being Bumgarner.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guess, it's Bumgarner or Strasburg, because Strasburg pitched last night, which means he'll be eligible to pitch.
Is he in the All-Star game?
Yes. Scherzer made it. I actually got a roster in front of me
Scherzer,
before.
Not Strasburg.
Did I say Strasburg?
Yeah.
I meant Scherzer. I apologize.
Okay. Yeah.
Strasburg's on something else that's All-Star worthy. It's called the disabled list.
Yeah, I give it to Scherzer.
Yep.
And then
which would be very well deserved for him.
Yeah.
One of very few to pitch or to start the All-Star game in both leagues.
Yes.
He did it in 2013 with the Tigers.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Scherzer's been,
Oh, he's been unbelievable this year. And I would have no problem with him starting, but with Bochy being comfortable with his guys, I could totally see Bumgarner. I told him this before, he's going to manage this like it's Game 7 of the World Series.
Yep.
Because both managers are going to manage this like see you in October. A lot of people are calling for the rematch, which I could very well see if San Francisco starts playing well again.
Yeah.
Kansas City, I feel, is a favorite to go back.
I want a Yankees-Royals ALCS.
That would be amazing to watch.
80s throwback.
80s throwback. All of our fathers and uncles and all that would be screaming for blood.
Yeah.
Because those fans still hate each other after all that happened. Robinson Cano goes to the All-Star game in Kansas City. He gets booed out of the building.
And it's the ultimate, small market, big market thing.
He got
Kansas
booed out of the building worse than the 2013 All-Star game in Citi Field.
Yep.
It was that much worse. And the home run derby, forget it. He pulled a Jason Bay.
Jason Bay,
man. Remember when he was supposed to be good?
Speaking of ranting about bad players in our lineups, thank God he's not in the Metro lineup. Would have taken up 3 hours of the show, you ranting about him.
You know what? I think one of my friends said this at work. Michael Gadire has become the Jason Bay of the New York Mets. That is what he has become.
No, I guess that's fair.
I mean, they didn't give him 7 years, $100 million to
This
play.
is also true. The Mets didn't give Gadire a mega contract.
And he's significantly older.
This is also true. The Mets did not give Gadire a retirement 10-year, $100 million contract. So I guess you could say that. Then he goes to Seattle. And is he retired now, Jason Bay?
He's got to be. Yeah. Maybe he's playing in Eric Burns'
I'm gonna look him up, see what he's up to. Yeah.
He's playing for the Sussex County Miners.
Yeah.
Come play for the Jackals.
I just got a message from Cohen. We're going to postpone the interview till next week. So.
All right.
So we'll do that next week, which will actually probably give me more time to prepare a little bit because they've been a little on and off recently.
Yeah.
So
they've had a weird season. I was prepping and just looking up some stuff.
Now, do you have access to actually watch the game from like your stand?
Yeah. So for the first 4 innings while I'm doing it, it's so busy that I honestly don't usually know the game started until the middle of the 5th inning.
Yeah.
But sorry, I had a
that scared me a little bit. You're like, but mic off.
Yeah. Nothing like getting a sneezing fit while talking on the radio.
Never had one yet. Knock on wood. Can't find. There it is. Still haven't. No, actually, no. I have had one before.
Terrible.
On Craig's show. It's bad.
And my sneezes all sound like violent coughs, so they're all terrible. But yeah,
mine just sound like somebody's being attacked.
by the time it slows down a bit, I have a great view of the game.
He is?
Yep.
Yeah. But Jackals are having a good year, and you know what? Based off the season or the start that they had, they're putting together a lot of great numbers. Castro has taken the team by storm, leading them in every offensive category. Threlkeld right behind.
They've got a weird team where they only had
Pavlik,
4
I think,
players
went back
return.
on the DL too.
Yeah.
I think they've only had 4 players return from last year.
A lot of young guys, because only like 2 or 3 return. It's a brand new team.
Yeah,
it always is.
Team.
That's the
It always is. That's the Can-Am League. You're right.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, we got to take a quick break here on SMC Sports. Coming up, we'll again be talking a lot more MLB. We'll get more into the All-Star game. A lot more Mets and Yankees to discuss, really. We're probably not even going to talk NBA at this point. Let's stop kidding ourselves.
Let's be real.
32 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour, 973-655-4256, the number to call. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange on SMC Sports. Back after this. All right, 40 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange. Justin Frasca just joined us as well. He's got his show coming up in 20 minutes, which is Tropical Storms. That'll be on at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. You can catch that till 7 p.m. right here on 90.3 FM WMSC. But we will close out our last 20 minutes together.
Talking Tour de France.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I have no idea what is even going on in the Tour de France right now.
Actually, I think Tony Martin is still in the yellow jersey as of he was yesterday. I don't know if he held on to it
because
today.
I know what that means.
I don't know who that is or what.
Is
that
the yellow
means.
jersey meaning first place?
Yellow jersey
guy?
is the overall leader of the race.
So you learn something new every day.
Wins.
I like it. You learn something new every day. Perfect. So I guess considering that we never really discussed NBA, we'll kind of run through it just a little bit because there's still a little MLB to get to. As far as I know, I believe it's DeAndre Jordan. Supposed to sign a deal with the Mavs tomorrow, having a little bit of second thoughts. Meeting with the Clippers today.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
That's shocking.
He's a little, quote-unquote, unsure.
What's he unsure of? Chris Paul hates him. Why would he play there?
The Clippers are desperate at this point to not be blown up and, kind of hold on to what they had.
The Clippers should have traded for Hibbert, in my personal opinion.
LaMarcus Aldridge looks like he's going to sign with the Spurs, which is, and a lot of people are saying, oh, now it's Warriors-Spurs. They could be right.
I agree.
In the West. That could be your Western Conference final right there.
Spurs just got so much better this summer, so far.
Yeah.
They did.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, everyone's saying on what the Lakers are doing. I like some of the moves they've made. Took a couple risks. Short-term contracts, so they'll still have room
They're not
next
going
year.
after the, huge superstar guys, but they're still
they
going after
did.
the
They
name.
swung and they missed, but, the Knicks and the Lakers rebounded pretty nicely, I think.
Yeah, obviously the Knicks weren't getting the big number 1 and number 2 and Aldridge and Jordan.
But Lopez is good. Aflalo's good.
Lopez will help. Will it help them make the playoffs? No. Not this year. But
I heard the funniest trade rumor was Nick Young. He's either going to be going to the Knicks or the Kings, it looks like. And could you imagine a Kings team if they also signed Josh Smith?
Rondo, Nick Young.
With
Josh
Rondo,
Smith.
Young, Smith, and then
Boogie Cousins.
DeMarcus Cousins, and who's the other loser they have up there?
The other loser.
I can't even think.
Yeah, I can't.
Totally accurate.
But basically all guys that would just take their own shots. Like Nick Young would pull up from half court.
And as a big
they
Rondo
would
fan,
score 0 points a game.
as a big Rondo fan, it's just sad to see, him continuing to be shipped to teams as that have no potential to be any good.
I think this could be a good year for him because you also have Cauley Stein, you have Kufus there.
And Stein, Defensive Player of the Year in the SEC.
They're going to win some games. They're not going to be probably contenders in this heavy Western Conference, but Rondo needs this 1 year, $10 million deal and possibly can reverse his fate for next season getting a big deal.
It's very hard to play in that Western Conference too. When you take a look at it, it's very difficult.
Think of who he's going to be facing every night: Curry, Rubio. Why is Rubio the second name I said? But Chris Paul, D'Angelo Russell,
Griffin.
Tony Parker. I'm just
Aldridge
naming
now.
Point guards.
Oh, point
to
guards.
start.
I thought we were just naming players. All right, fine, fine, James.
Lillard.
Get all basketball term on me now.
I'm saying who Rondo's going to be playing up one-on-one every night.
Well, my thing with Rondo has always been, these teams that bring him in with Dallas and now Sacramento, they don't really necessarily look at, they don't utilize his skill set per se.
It's true.
He's a facilitating guard.
Except Rondo's going to have all of the time in the world if he wants to pass to shooters. And if one thing Rondo's good at is creating space to dish it to a shooter. So you're going to have, if they get Nick Young, which would be absurd, and DeMarcus Cousins. Why can't I think of who the other guy
I have
is that they signed?
As he goes on his laptop for his 5-day Wi-Fi trial.
Yeah.
They have Rudy Gay there.
Oh, Rudy Gay as well. Yeah. So, you dish it out, and then, like you said, if you have Rondo's defensive presence, and then you have Cauley Stein's defensive presence down low.
Yeah, so I actually think Rondo could possibly return, for him with trying to get these guys involved. But the problem is all of them are going to want the ball at every second.
What are we, 2 weeks after the draft?
Nick Young.
These Knicks fans still don't understand the pick.
I don't.
Porzingis?
He got hurt in his pre-draft workout. 5 minutes into
Seriously?
his pre-draft workout, the reports came out.
Oh,
so the
boy.
Knicks didn't even see him. They didn't even see him.
Listen, I understand Porzingis isn't going to help him win now. We've all agreed on that. Knicks fans need now to put that in the back of their minds and focus on the future. That's why Porzingis was the pick. That's why.
Knicks fans,
Good, trade Melo.
And I know you hate the pick, but even you agreed with it as well.
Trade
He's
Melo
the future.
then.
As a
Trade Melo.
Celtics fan, I'll say this: Knicks fans need to trust Phil Jackson to the same level that Celtics fans have trusted Danny Ainge.
Out of all teams in the NBA, you picked the Celtics.
Brad Stevens.
What do you want me to root for the awful Knicks or Nets? That's not good
Be
basketball.
a hometown favorite. Well, we root for Dallas, so I guess I'm being a hypocrite when I say that. But
Speaking of
Dallas
Dallas,
Cowboy fans.
if Dallas gets Jeremy Lin, Western Conference Finals.
What?
Think so?
Western Conference Finals.
What?
Starting lineup of.
It's not as infamous what? It's as what?
Just think, they got Lin, Wesley Matthews, Chandler Parsons, Dirk Nowitzki, and now possibly DeAndre
That's
Jordan.
a bunch of misfit poach. Like,
Oh, man. Oh, man.
That's not a Western Conference Final team.
This is why he's
Western
awesome.
Conference
We need to argue. It wastes time, all that stuff.
Mavs-
It gets you through 3 hours.
Mavs Spurs, Western Conference Finals.
Spurs, anybody but the Mavs.
Wow. So Lakers.
No.
It's like anybody
Spurs,
anybody
any relevant good Western Conference team besides Dallas.
Sean be like, I'm gonna support the teams that you don't support.
Yeah.
I'm going to support their rivals, even if they're the Philadelphia Phillies,
Warriors,
who have won 25 games this year. They're a playoff
Grizzlies.
team.
I still like this Grizzlies team.
I really like this Pelicans team.
Yes.
I love Anthony
Spurs
Davis.
Pelicans. Anthony Davis is, like nothing we've ever seen in this league.
I'm so sick of these teams changing their names. I can't keep up. I'm so sick of it. So accurate. But no, it's shaping up to be a great a free agency lottery. Contracts are officially good to be signed tomorrow. So we will most likely see Aldridge sign with the Spurs, Jordan possibly now with the Mavs. We don't know for sure yet. Who was the guy who was going to sign with the Knicks?
Aflalo, Robin
Lopez. Those guys should sign with the Knicks.
David West, too, going to the Spurs.
Yep.
You see that? He left $11 million on the table.
Really?
Yeah, that was
he had a $12 million
JPP left $60 million on the table, blew off his hand.
The ultimate, competitor guy. And it shows, the NBA is trending towards, kind of was trending towards, you have to get a superstar like a guy like LeBron James on the roster and then find guys that want to play with him. But, that's not necessarily the best model to win because, guys are going to play with James, and James is great, but now you get guys going to the Spurs because they recognize that what they're doing.
Yeah, but the Spurs have three
three
superstars plus a guy that used to be a superstar.
Yeah.
And the greatest coach, of our era.
That's what should attract players, and it has, and that's why I think the Spurs are going to probably win the championship this next year.
You think they're going to win the NBA Finals?
Yes.
It's a good prediction. I like it. They got to get past the Warriors first, who aren't going to let up.
How are the Cavs going to have money to sign LeBron, by the way?
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially
Like,
with
they give Shumpert, Thompson, and
because he said he will not re-sign if they don't sign Thompson,
and
they
want
to give Thompson a big.
But
That's
how
true.
are they going to give LeBron all this money? They're signing everybody and their grandmother.
And they want to get Joe Johnson. They want to get Joe Johnson and his behemoth of a contract.
Because LeBron wants a max contract. That's why he opted out.
But LeBron, I think, still just wants 1-year deals. I still think he's going to be out of Cleveland sometime in the next 2 years.
I could agree. But he made it clear.
I think if they don't win it this year, this is his last year.
Yeah, exactly. But he made it clear he wants to go back. He wants to stay in Cleveland, and that's it, win a championship. But how are you going to do that with no money? Because unless they've got, a gazillion dollars to spend on each player, there's going to be a line to be drawn here. LeBron wants a max deal or he's walking.
At the same time, they don't want to be the old LeBron Cavs where it's just him and then they're not going to win and he's not going to stay. They're trying to build an environment. But do the Cavs
have that much cap space to still be able to give LeBron a max deal? If he doesn't get a max,
I think
he's
they're also
walking.
trying to look to the future without LeBron. Even if they do win and he's still out in 2 years, which is a possibility, they're still going to want to be a contending team.
I think
keep
it's a
those
shame.
guys, they could still be good.
It's kind of a shame, I think, for the Cavs with Tristan Thompson that he has the same agent as LeBron, because I don't think Thompson's anywhere near a max level deal contract. I didn't think Draymond Green was either. He didn't get a max, but he was pretty close.
I love Draymond Green.
But I don't think Tristan Thompson deserves, what is it, 5 years, $90 million.
Yeah.
I think the Cavs kind of see that, and you just argue with everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
literally, you could be right. It doesn't matter.
No, I've agreed with you a couple times or so.
I know, that's why we had to do SNS today. I was getting scared.
Well, I wanted to do SNS. There has to be an SNS every week, but
yeah, but that's tough.
There needs to be a designated time to debate, and then I can decide when to argue and when to agree
with a slow summer when it's just baseball, it's very hard to do. It's very hard to do.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a quick break, last break here on the
basketball
show.
Topics that we just talked about.
That's true. Maybe when I get back into basketball, we'll talk.
I need to talk about Thompson when we get back.
When we come back, when we come back, we'll do that. We'll close the show with some baseball as well. 50 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange on SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC. Back after this. All right, 53 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour.
52 and a half.
Oh, is it really? Oh,
yep.
All right, 52 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour. Here on SMC Sports on 90.3 WMSC in Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange. Close out the show with a little bit more baseball because there's still a lot to talk about. Well, not really a lot to talk about, but still a decent amount about the All-Star game we haven't really covered yet. And, we covered the pitching. We think who's going to pitch. But now, starting with you, James, your prediction, who's going to win the All-Star game?
I said before that I've got the AL.
Just give us a score, too.
I think I'm going to stick with that. I'll take the AL 7-4.
Okay, Sean, reiterate yours from before, too.
What was mine? It was 4.
You should just lose SNS.
I didn't. Do you remember?
It was AL 4-2.
Mine was NL 3-1.
Oh, yeah, 4-2 with the 2 runs and the 6.
Mine was NL 3-1.
Oh, yeah.
I think this could be one of the higher scoring All-Star games, at least in the past couple of years.
Well, both rosters have great pitching to deal with. Whether and my argument before was the NL was going to win, but when you look at the AL side, they do have a lot of great pitching on that team. Like you've said before, Sean. I'm not doubting your argument. I'm just saying mine's better. So we'll wait for Craig to give us his decision on that as well. But both teams have great pitching. And I kind of said this before. Now, I think this is going to be the game of the AL offense versus the NL pitching. Because the NL offense is good. There are, few guys, maybe Peralta and Holiday.
Every All-Star offense ever is good. When's the last time you said, I don't like this All-Star lineup. They can't hit.
I thought
but think about the lineup compared to the AL lineup. You're definitely more pitching.
I don't think I would have started Holiday and Peralta. I don't. I like them in the lineup, but I don't think I would have started them.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, besides, what ESPN said about A-Rod, which I thought was ridiculous, about him not being deserving enough to be in the All-Star game off this season was ridiculous. I thought it was crap.
You're actually telling me that the guy who was carrying the Yankees isn't, carrying
deserving enough to be on the All-Star team. I don't want him there, but he is deserving enough.
Yep. You got to have a good reason for him.
Yeah, and you know what? The only possible reason that everybody comes up with is players, coaches, and fans don't want him there, plain and simple.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that they can come up with that's reasonable, and you can be like, okay, fine. But for them to be like, well, Ned Yost, the smart guy that he is, wants a guy that has a better shot over A-Rod at winning the All-Star game. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. Like, this is how...
Come on, ESPN.
This is how you know that there are some times when they are told what to say and how to say it. Because a lot of those guys on the panel would have been like, he's deserving enough, he's a great player, OPS over 900. But at the same time, you have to look at what happened.
By the way, the updated vote for the final spot, which ends Friday, is no surprise Mike Moustakas is number 1.
Yeah.
Of course.
Is it Kershaw number 1 in the NL?
It's Johnny Cueto.
Cueto. I know Familia's in dead last.
I don't think Kershaw or Tulowitzki deserve to be there. I think they're just big names. Well, I mean,
well, at the same time, that does come down to it. When you get an average fan to vote and be like, "Oh, I know this guy Kershaw. He's awesome. Let me vote him in."
I forget who tweeted it, but one of the baseball writers tweeted this, and I absolutely agree. Baseball fans do such a good job representing their sport by voting the right guys in to the All-Star game.
I thought I voted the right guys in.
They're going to look silly if they don't get Kershaw into this game.
Well, no.
As a fan base, it looks bad to not have
Kershaw.
So Cueto doesn't deserve to be in the All-Star game?
No, I mean, a lot of these guys do, but Kershaw
did you see what he did to Scherzer last night?
An All-Star.
Kershaw is 5-6 with a 3.08 ERA this year. What other player are you arguing, that doesn't have Kershaw's name? Are you arguing to be in the All-Star with those numbers?
Last night, Cueto had something to prove. What did he do for the final vote? He pitched a 2-hit shutout against Washington. Against Max Scherzer, who went 4 1/3.
You can't tell me that Kershaw is more deserving. Now Cueto is only 6-5, but he's got a 2.61 ERA on a much worse team.
A lot of these guys are going out that they have nothing to lose. Familia went out in San Francisco next to Bruce Bochy and threw a 4-out save against the Giants Monday night.
He's still in the last.
Yeah, I know, but that's what the final vote comes down to. It comes down to proving yourself.
Well, I'm not a fan of the final vote because it comes down to what you've done recently. Like in this past,
that's true.
Because Brian Dozier for the AL vote hit a walk-off and then he spiked up. So
yeah, but what's Kershaw done recently?
Well, what was his last start? I haven't.
But Tulo's actually had a much better year than I gave him credit for. So I guess I think the only guy in my mind that doesn't really deserve to be there right now is Kershaw. I don't see how.
I got it, Justin. You sure? All right.
Let's see.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost close games. He's thrown 7 innings, 6 innings, let up 3 or 4 runs every start.
And the Dodgers are in contention, so.
But it's not. I mean, he's got a great team behind him, and he's not winning games this year. I love Clayton Kershaw. I think he's probably still the best pitcher in the league, but he deserves to be an All-Star.
I don't think so either. But again, it's that big name that people are going to vote in.
Yeah.
If you're an average fan, not really knowing the in-depth of the 2015 season, you're going to vote in big names like Teixeira and Harvey, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Kershaw, who's bigger than Clayton Kershaw right now? He's probably one of the best pitchers of this generation.
Yes.
Not having a great year, but he's still one of those dominant guys.
And it's a shame more people don't know about him, but I think Carlos Martinez is very deserving. That final spot with a 9-3 record, 2.70 ERA for the Cardinals this year.
Yeah.
I think if you go Martinez, if you go anyone but Kershaw, I think is deserving.
Listen, if you go with anybody on that list, really, even Kershaw, it's not a bad thing. That's what the final vote is. That's what it's always been. In the American League side, I'm a big Mets fan, but just vote in Brett Gardner already.
Vote Gardy.
It's his time to finally be an All-Star. And
I hate Gardner.
Done it all for the Yankees. Walk on his college team.
Year. Yeah. He's had a great year. It's time to vote in Brett Gardner. That's going to conclude SMC Sports this week. Sean, thanks for coming up to get your charger and talking with us for 3 hours.
No problem. Happy birthday again, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. James, thanks for coming on.
Yes, thank you, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Sorry I missed the first bit. Trying to get Wi-Fi.
No, it's cool. Enjoy your 5-day trial of MSU Wi-Fi that you won't have after
5-day trial. You'll see how bad it is, and you'll be happy to be disconnected from it anyway.
He'll be using his phone after next week. So... we will be on the air again next week, 1 to 4 p.m. on Wednesday. Justin Frasco with Tropical Storms is next.
Get the SNS decision.
We'll get the SNS decision next week. We'll have a recap of the All-Star game. So Tropical Storms is on next, and we will see you guys on SMC Sports next week.